Chapter 3492. Everyone was stunned when they saw this figure enter the main hall. This was because many heavenly venerates present recognized this person. Heaven City, City Lord. Everyone's expression changed slightly. Although there was no clear ranking among the 10 city lords of the era battlefield, it seemed that all 10 of them were on equal footing. But in fact, whether it was the original ranking set by the Lord of Fortune Creation or the tacit agreement of everyone, it was always heaven, earth black, yellow, universe, chaos, sun, and moon. Some clues could be seen from the order of the names. Although the strength of each city lord might not be the same in different eras, the Heaven City City Lord was definitely the strongest among the 10 city lords. Generally speaking, the top powerhouses were still at the same level, but there were also strong and weak people at the same level. The Heaven City City Lord was recognized by everyone as unfathomable. When they saw him appear, the East, South, West, and West Holy Masters, as well as the Space-Time Holy Master, began to show serious expressions because they knew that this person was indeed extraordinary. Yi Shiwen suddenly saw a smile on the Sun City City Lord's face. Why did he show a happy expression when others were worried about the Heaven City City Lord's appearance? If he wanted to fight for the position of Middle Heavenly Venerate, then the Middle Heavenly Venerate that had rushed over would undoubtedly be his strongest opponent. However, now that he was showing such an expression, there was only one possibility. He had never wanted to fight for the position of Middle Heavenly Venerate. This kind of situation wasn't impossible. Although everyone coveted the position of a medium Empyrean, there was only one position. Some people believed that their chances weren't high, so it was likely that they would give up and support someone else to obtain greater benefits. This was not impossible. After the Heaven City City Lord came in, he immediately sat in the middle. Although the 15 thrones didn't specify who sat where, there was a tacit agreement. The fact that the Heaven City City Lord sat on one of the thrones was a clear indication of something. Yi Shiwen had a feeling that the Heaven City City Lord would become the biggest obstacle for the East Holy Master to ascend to the Heaven City Lord's position. Domineering, undisguised ambition for the position of Middle Empyrean. Even though the other God Cities City Lords hadn't arrived yet, he had still arrived. His intention to participate in the competition was already very obvious. After the initial shock, the Eastern Heavenly Venerate reacted immediately. Then, he said, "So it's fellow Taoist. Why? Does fellow Taoist also covet the Middle Heavenly Venerate position?" The Lord of Heaven City smiled and leaned his head against the back of the chair. "Yes, I do, but so what? Do you have any thoughts? In that case, let's face them head on." The Eastern Heavenly Sovereign said fearlessly. At their level of cultivation, who would be afraid of anyone? In any case, everyone's goal was very clear, so there was no point in playing some tricks. They could only directly reveal their trump cards. When the time came, whoever was stronger would naturally become an Empyrean. That's true. There's no point in playing tricks. The City Lord of Heaven City had a smile on his face. He was also extremely confident, even more so than the Eastern Lord. Upon hearing the City Lord of Heaven City say this, everyone who was interested in becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate began to get excited. As for the matter regarding the City Lord of Moon City, they had already forgotten about it. The City Lord of Heaven City had only taken a moment to reverse the situation that Yi Shiwen and the Eastern Heavenly Venerate had set up together. However, there were still some good points about the City Lord of Moon City. It was just that the City Lord of Heaven City's interference had temporarily delayed these doubts. In any case, the City Lord of Moon City had already been eliminated in this election. Even if there was only a small point of doubt, no one would allow the person he recommended to become a Middle Heavenly Venerate. This was related to everyone's safety. Since ancient times, how could they not know the miserable fate of the Heavenly Venerates who had their lair invaded? Time and Space Heavenly Venerate stepped forward and said, "Fellow Taoists, I am Time and Space Heavenly Venerate. I believe that everyone should be familiar with me. For a long time, I have been a Middle Heavenly Venerate and ruled the Central Region. Therefore, I believe that I am qualified to become a Middle Heavenly Venerate. The heavenly venerates were moved by time and space. Heavenly venerates' words. It was obvious that they were aware of the previous situation. Ruling the vast and boundless central region wasn't a simple matter. However, if he wanted to gain their approval with just this level, it would probably not be enough. Just as everyone thought that the East, South, West, and West heavenly venerates are going to speak up and fight for their support, the City Lord of Heaven's City suddenly interjected. He didn't give time and space heavenly venerate any face, which made time and space heavenly venerate's face turn ugly. All right, I don't want to waste any more time here. I'll just say it directly. The reason no one else came today is because the other city lords of the 10 great divine cities all support me in becoming a middle heavenly venerate. Just as everyone was waiting to see what kind of trump card the City Lord of Heaven City would play, the trump card he played shook everyone's spirits, and they nearly fainted. Everyone knew that since the City Lord of Heaven City had appeared, he definitely had a trump card in his hand. However, no one had expected him to have such a big trump card. This was simply a joke. Any city lord of the 10 great divine cities was qualified to become a middle heavenly venerate. Whether it was their foundation or the contributions they had made to the Fortune God dynasty over the years, they weren't inferior to the East, West, and West heavenly venerates. Although time and space heavenly venerate was considered old, he was undoubtedly lacking compared to these veterans. Initially, everyone had thought that there would be a fierce internal struggle between the 10 great divine cities and that it wouldn't be so easy to determine the winner. They had wanted to see the heavenly venerate's trump card. They hadn't expected that the City Lord of Heaven City's trump card would be a decisive blow. The Southern Heavenly Venerate, Western Heavenly Venerate, North Heavenly Venerate, Time and Space Heavenly Venerate, and the others were completely dumbfounded. The 10 great divine cities, collectively supporting a City Lord of Heaven City, could be said to have gathered almost half of the Fortune God dynasty strength. Under such circumstances, it wouldn't be difficult for the City Lord of Heaven City to become a middle heavenly venerate. He's trapped in his own web after all. The corners of the Southern Heavenly Venerate's mouth curved into a bitter smile. The City Lord of Heaven City was just one person. He wouldn't care even if he had the support of 1 or 2 city lords. However, due to the appearance of the heaven-splitting demonic axe, he didn't have much time left. Hence, he didn't have the time to make any contributions after arriving here, let alone make a contribution that would convince everyone. The reason why time and space Heavenly Venerate wanted to be the first to make a move was because he was the weakest among the competitors. At this time, he naturally had to be the first to make a move. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have a chance to make a move when the others made a move. The foundations and trump cards of others were obviously deeper than his, so he could only make a move first. As for the Southern Heavenly Venerate, the Western Heavenly Venerate, the Northern Heavenly Venerate, and the others, they felt that their contributions were enough to fight for. At the very least, they weren't any worse than the others. However, the words of the City Lord of Heaven City immediately made them speechless. The strength and foundation of the City Lord of Heaven City were second to none. Coupled with the support of the other city lords, victory was almost within his grasp. So this is the reason why the City Lord of Sun City has been delaying for time. Yishuan's heart brightened. Many things that he didn't understand before were now clear. The reason why the City Lord of Sun City had been delaying for time was to wait for the arrival of the City Lord of Heaven City. The reason why the City Lord of Heaven City had finally arrived was probably because he was exchanging benefits with the other city lords. The other city lords were at the same level as the City Lord of Heaven City. Any one of them wasn't that easy to deal with. In order to obtain the support of the other city lords, the City Lord of Heaven City had paid a huge price. However, as long as he could become a middle heavenly venerate in the end, everything would be worth it. The power of a middle heavenly venerate was too great. It was likely that after a fierce confrontation, the City Lord of Heaven City won. The great heavenly venerates of the Fortune God dynasty had come in a threatening manner, wanting to force the 10 divine cities to agree to select a middle heavenly venerate. However, the 10 divine cities' city lords weren't ordinary people. How could they be so easily threatened? They must have secretly colluded with each other. Even now, the great heavenly venerates of the Fortune God dynasty were still fighting for themselves. They had obviously fallen behind in this aspect. The great heavenly venerates of the Fortune God dynasty felt their faces burning. They had been tricked by the 10 divine cities. They had come in a threatening manner, wanting to force the 10 divine cities to agree to select a middle heavenly venerate. They hadn't expected that they would be defeated. Now, the city lord of Heaven City, who had obtained the support of the other city lords of the 10 divine cities, had an absolute advantage. Whether it was the southern heavenly venerate, western heavenly venerate, northern heavenly venerate, or space-time heavenly venerate, all of them understood that they had suffered a crushing defeat. Their contributions weren't as big as the city lords, but the support they could obtain was far less than the city lords. There was a faint smile on the city lord's face as he said, "I have already obtained the support of the other divine cities' city lords. Now, I want to become a middle heavenly venerate. I think none of you have any objections, right? With my strength and experience, there is no one more suitable than me. What do you all think?" The city lord of Heaven City looked at the Eastern heavenly venerate and the others, feeling incomparably carefree in his heart. Previously, the Fortune God dynasty's great heavenly venerates had joined forces to force him to abdicate, and he had almost been caught off guard. Now, he was merely giving them a taste of their own medicine. Thinking of the price he had to pay to obtain their support, even he couldn't help feeling distressed. However, as long as he could become a middle heavenly venerate, everything would be worth it. Speaking of which, he still had to thank the Fortune God dynasty's heavenly venerates. If it weren't for them forcing him to abdicate, the 10 divine city lords wouldn't have yielded. Chapter 3493. He had prepared this trump card for a long time. Once he used it, it would be a fatal blow. Moreover, this was caused by the joint efforts of the Fortune God dynasty's heavenly venerables. They couldn't do anything about it. The smile on the Sun city lord's face grew wider. If it wasn't for the heavenly venerable's reputation, he would have laughed out loud. Although he didn't become a middle heavenly venerable's candidate in this transaction, he still obtained a lot of benefits. How could he not be happy? The Moon city lord's face revealed a sinister smile as he looked at the Eastern heavenly venerate with a provocative look. Just now, the Eastern heavenly venerate had actually wanted to remove him from the position of Moon city lord. This had already crossed the bottom line in his heart. Even with his shrewdness and cunning, he couldn't help but reveal a complacent smile. It was clear that the Eastern heavenly venerate had the ability to remove him from the position. Yishuan looked at this scene and couldn't help but sigh. The internal situation of the Fortune God dynasty was much more complicated than he had imagined. Because the Fortune heavenly lord had left too early, he didn't leave behind a good successor, and there wasn't a middle heavenly master. Therefore, the Fortune God dynasty was left without a leader. It was also because of this that the heavenly venerables acted on their own. There was no rule at all, and each ruled their own territory. No one was willing to obey the other. Even a Moon City had been breached, but the Fortune God dynasty was still wrangling with each other. After so long, they still couldn't come up with a complete rule. Previously, when the 10 great divine cities wanted to recapture the Moon City, only the 10 great divine cities sent their troops. The Fortune God dynasty's heavenly venerable's army was excluded. This in itself was a very ridiculous and absurd matter. However, this kind of matter was common in the Fortune Divine Dynasty. It was still possible to suppress disobedient forces. Whether it was the 10 great divine city lords, or the heavenly venerables of the North, South, East, and West heavenly venerables, they all had unimaginable strength. They could destroy rebellions with a flip of their hand. However, it wasn't so simple to deal with external enemies of the Fortune God dynasty. At this time, what was needed was a high degree of unified governance. The heavenly venerables probably knew this, but no one was willing to be ruled by others. Therefore, the situation had dragged on until now. If it weren't for the heavens-splitting demon axe that they couldn't deal with, this chaotic situation of a group of dragons without a leader would have continued. If no one objects, then I will inherit the position of middle heavenly venerate in the future and lead my martial epoch to greater glory. I will destroy the other ancient epochs and sweep away those foreign creatures, said the Heaven City Lord. His words were full of ambition. Wait, just as the Sky City Lord was about to give his inaugural speech, the Eastern Heavenly Venerate stepped forward to stop him. The Heaven City Lord frowned slightly. He couldn't understand why the Eastern Tianzuan would step forward when he had such a huge advantage. Could it be that the Eastern Tianzuan really thought that he could win? No way. Eastern Empyrean, a new Middle Empyrean is about to be born. Don't tell me you think that you are more important than the support of us city lords. Moon City Lord immediately retorted. Previously, Yi Shiwen and Eastern Tianzuan had joined hands to set up a trap for him to jump. He still remembered it until now. I don't think I said that I would give up, Eastern Heavenly Master said with a smile. Since we are competing for the position of Middle Heavenly Venerate, then I have to speak properly. The Heaven City Lord sneered. He didn't believe that Eastern Heavenly Venerate could make a comeback in such a short time. That's right, Heaven City Lord. You haven't asked us if you want to become a Middle Heavenly Venerate. I personally represent all the Heavenly Venerates in the Western region and support Eastern Heavenly Venerate in becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate. Western Heavenly Venerate suddenly opened her red lips and said. Her beautiful eyes were like water as she looked at the Heaven City Lord, not giving way. I also represent all the Heavenly Venerates in the Northern region and support Eastern Heavenly Venerate in becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate. Northern Heavenly Venerate seemed to understand something and said directly, I also represent all the Heavenly Venerates in the Southern region and support Eastern Heavenly Venerate. Southern Heavenly Venerate looked a little reluctant, but he quickly became resolute. The space-time Heavenly Venerate was a little stunned as he looked at the others. Why did everyone suddenly support the Eastern Heavenly Venerate at this time? However, given his intellect, he immediately understood what everyone was thinking. They were clearly taking revenge on the 10 great divine cities. Since the 10 divine cities could ally with each other, then the Fortune Divine Dynasty's Heavenly Venerates could naturally ally with each other. Since they had already joined forces to force an abdication once, what was the point of doing it again? The only difference was the choice of supporters. However, at this time, none of them had the confidence to contend with the Heaven City Lord. Their qualifications and strength weren't bad, but it was impossible for them to suppress the Heaven City Lord. I also support Eastern Heavenly Venerate. Spacetime Heavenly Venerate gritted his teeth and voiced his support for Eastern Heavenly Venerate in the end. It seemed like it didn't matter who became a Middle Heavenly Venerate because it wasn't them. However, in reality, it was completely different. Once the Heaven City Lord became a Middle Heavenly Venerate, he would inevitably give priority to the 10 divine cities. These people naturally weren't his direct descendants. Although they each had their own territories and weren't afraid of anyone, from now on, they wouldn't be as free and unrestrained as before. We also support Eastern Heavenly Venerate. Besides Eastern Heavenly Venerate, we won't accept anyone else becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate. Eastern Heavenly Venerate is the most suitable. Seeing that even Spacetime Heavenly Venerate supported Eastern Heavenly Venerate, the other Heavenly Venerates from the Fortune Divine Dynasty also voiced their support for Eastern Heavenly Venerate. They also understood that compared to the Heaven City Lord, Eastern Heavenly Venerate was a more suitable candidate. At the very least, a balance of power had to be formed. They couldn't let the Heaven City Lord easily become a Middle Heavenly Venerate. The Heaven City Lord frowned. In a short time, the situation had taken a sharp turn for the worse. Compared to him getting the 10 divine city lords to support him, Eastern Heavenly Venerate getting the other great Heavenly Venerates, including Spacetime Heavenly Venerate, to support him wasn't easy. Most importantly, this formed a balance of power between the two factions. The Fortune Divine Dynasty and the 10 divine cities would once again be evenly matched. This was just like the countless disputes many years ago. What are you all doing? Are you making trouble? Why did we elect a middle heavenly venerate this time? Are you playing around? If we can't choose a middle heavenly venerate, how are we going to fight against the heaven-splitting demonic axe? Do you know how dangerous this is? The Heaven City Lord scolded. Can you bear the responsibility of not taking back the Moon City Lord? What? Do you want us to bear the responsibility of losing Moon City? A disdainful smile appeared on the Western Heavenly Venerate's beautiful face. The main culprit behind the loss of Moon City seems to be here. If Moon City had been lost to those ancient eras regardless of the cost, I would have nothing to say. However, someone caused such serious consequences and can still roam freely. I want to ask fellow Heavenly Venerate, how do you plan to deal with him if you become a middle Heavenly Venerate? The Western Heavenly Venerate hadn't said a word before, but the moment he spoke, he had forced the Heaven City Lord into a dead end. If he said that he wouldn't deal with the Moon City Lord, then the Fortune Divine Dynasty's Heavenly Venerates, and even the other Heavenly Venerates of the 10 Divine Cities, would be dissatisfied. Because of the Moon City Lord's mistake, they had lost a lot of people. It could be said that they had suffered heavy losses. Although their foundation hadn't been affected, they would still have to fight to retake Moon City. They were afraid that they would suffer greatly. However, the Moon City Lord, who had caused them so much pain and suffering, didn't receive any punishment. In the end, he could still go back to being the Moon City Lord. This would definitely incur the wrath of many people. When that time came, how much prestige would the Heaven City Lord, who had become the target of public criticism, have? However, it was even more inappropriate to punish the Moon City Lord, because the Moon City Lord was the one who had supported him the most in becoming a middle Heavenly Venerate. Although he couldn't say this out loud, he had to remember this favor. This was the basic rule. Otherwise, who would dare to approach him in the future? This was forcing him into a dilemma. The Heavenly Venerates secretly gave the Western Heavenly Venerate a thumbs up. The Moon City Lord's expression was extremely ugly. He wanted nothing more than to swallow the Western Heavenly Venerate whole. Almost every Heavenly Venerate of the Fortune God dynasty wanted to make things difficult for him. They had even wanted to remove him from his position. The most important thing now is to select a middle Heavenly Venerate and retake Moon City. As for what you said, those are minor details that we have to deal with in the future. In the face of this matter, everything else is secondary. The Sky City Lord immediately changed the topic. He had already made up his mind. This matter could be dragged on for as long as possible. After this incident, could the Western Heavenly Venerate, Eastern Heavenly Venerate, and the others still force the Moon City Lord to abdicate? That would be looking down on him, a middle Heavenly Venerate. Committing such a grave mistake can be considered secondary. Then I would like to ask, what exactly is the most important thing in your eyes? Yishuan immediately stepped forward and asked. Facing the extremely powerful Sky City Lord, he didn't give in at all. Impudent! Are you planning to continue pestering endlessly and prevent the middle Heavenly Venerate from being selected? The Sky City Lord said. Can you bear the consequences? At this time, the Eastern Heavenly Venerate, who had built up enough momentum, finally broke his silence. He stepped forward and said, How was this pestering endlessly? Do you think that we can only be evenly matched? I don't think so. Since you have revealed your trump card, then I will also lay my cards on the table. Don't you feel that comprehending the Heavenly Tao has become easier recently? That the Heavenly Tao's feedback has increased? Everyone thought about it. This was indeed the case. However, they didn't think too much about it. They also didn't know why the Eastern Heavenly Venerate had raised this point. That's because I destroyed the 7th gold era and sacrificed it to the heavens. The Eastern Heavenly Venerate's words immediately caused an uproar among the Heavenly Venerates. It was fine if the Eastern Heavenly Venerate didn't reveal his trump card. Once he did, it would also be a fatal blow. Chapter 3494. All the Heavenly Venerates and Emperors were in an uproar because of the Eastern Heavenly Venerate's words. All the Heavenly Venerates thought they had heard wrong. Destroying an ancient epic and sacrificing it to the heavens? This was practically impossible. The last time someone had done such a thing was the fortune creation heavenly monarch. When the 10 great divine cities were first established, there were ancient epics spying on the martial epic. Their armies approached, and even the fortune creation heavenly monarch fought bitterly before finally eliminating several ancient epics. However, this was a sealed memory for them. Most of the heavenly venerates and emperors had never experienced such a thing. It was just a myth and a legend. Even the Eastern heavenly venerates and Heaven City Lord were insignificant people who had just become gods. They had only heard of the 10 great divine cities and had never experienced such a thing. After the fortune creation heavenly monarch, no one else had accomplished such a magnificent feat. Hence, when they heard this, they couldn't help but be stunned. They almost thought they had heard wrong. How was this possible? The Heaven City Lord was the first to be in disbelief. His cultivation base could be considered the highest among the city lords, and it wasn't that he hadn't tried to eliminate ancient epics in the past. It wasn't just a matter of making great contributions to the fortune god dynasty. More importantly, he could also obtain great benefits. The heavenly Tao was fair. Meritorious deeds were rewarded, and mistakes were punished. This was the cycle of the heavenly Tao. Now, that path was practically cut off. As far as he knew, if he wanted to advance further, he would probably have to eliminate the ancient epics and obtain the reward of the heavenly Tao. However, his attempt had failed. Eliminating some ancient epics, heavenly venerates, was naturally not a difficult task for him. However, how could it be so easy to eliminate ancient epics? In this world, aside from a martial epic, which occupied the center of the primal chaos, the positions of all the ancient epics were uncertain. It was impossible to calculate them. They changed all the time, and even changed their laws every once in a while. It could be said that they were very difficult to grasp. Aside from the fortune creation heavenly monarch, who had an exceptional cultivation base, no one else had the ability to calculate them. If he gathered the fortune divine dynasty strength and spent a large amount of resources to calculate, there might be a possibility of success. However, the fortune divine dynasty was like a group of dragons without a leader, and it was difficult for them to gather. Moreover, those ancient eras were not easy to deal with. If they wanted to attack any one of them, they would have to face the backlash from that era's heavenly Tao. Only someone like the fortune creation heavenly monarch, who possessed peerless divine abilities and was invincible, will be able to accomplish this. If even he couldn't do it, then he didn't believe that anyone could. Thus, he had never imagined that the trump card that the Eastern heavenly venerate had obtained would actually be this. He also couldn't figure out how the East celestial venerate had managed to resist the backlash of an epic's heavenly Tao. It also never occurred to him that the East celestial venerate had obtained the heaven sealing talisman left behind by the fortune creation heavenly Lord to seal the heavenly Tao and gain the most precious time to refine the seventh gold era. No matter how he did it, he had done it, hadn't he? It wasn't just the Sky City Lord. Even the Western Heavenly Venerate, the Southern Heavenly Venerate, the Northern Heavenly Venerate, and the Space-Time Heavenly Venerate had never imagined that the Eastern Heavenly Venerate would actually have such a trump card. At that moment, they all recalled that the experts from the Eastern Heavenly Venerate's camp had clearly gone out before. However, they hadn't gone out for too long, so they hadn't expected it to be a big deal. Even if they had ambushed several Heavenly Venerates like the Space-Time Heavenly Venerate, they wouldn't have been able to accomplish such a great feat, however. It turned out that they were wrong. They were ridiculously wrong. It hadn't been long since the Eastern Heavenly Venerate had left, but he had already accomplished an unparalleled feat furthermore. After accomplishing such a great feat, the Eastern Heavenly Venerate had actually been able to restrain himself. He hadn't leaked any information at all. It wasn't until the very end that he had finally revealed his trump card and dealt a fatal blow. This calmness and shrewdness made many people look at him in a new light. At the same time, they instantly understood that with this trump card in hand, the Eastern Heavenly Venerate was already in an invincible position. No matter how they wanted to turn the tables, they wouldn't have a chance. They had chosen to support the Eastern Heavenly Venerate because, as the Heaven City Lord had said, they didn't want the Heaven City Lord to become a Middle Heavenly Venerate so easily. However, while the Heaven City Lord had been blocked by them, he had released another fierce tiger. The Eastern Heavenly Venerate had the qualifications to become a Middle Heavenly Venerate regardless of whether it was his foundation or his qualifications. Now that he had such an unparalleled technique in hand, he was practically invincible. Space-time Heavenly Venerate's face alternated between green and white. It wasn't just the Heavenly Venerates of the 10 divine cities who had been caught off guard. He had also been caught off guard. He had originally thought that he had a certain chance of becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate. At the very least, he would have been one of the most popular candidates. But first, the Heaven City Lord had obtained the support of all the 10 divine City Lords. Then, the Eastern Heavenly Venerate had destroyed the 7th Gold Era. With such an unparalleled technique in hand, every single one of them was like a vicious slap to his face. And now he was like a clown. In front of these two people, everything seemed so ridiculous. No matter who it was, victory was in their grasp. Only he looked so ridiculous. He had thought that just because he had destroyed heavenly venerates of several ancient eras, he had the qualifications to covet the position of a Middle Heavenly Venerate. Only now did he realize that he had been too foolish. Only those at the level of the Heaven City Lord and the Eastern Heavenly Venerate were qualified to become Middle Heavenly Venerates. If he hadn't obtained the support of the majority or established an unparalleled technique, how could he have convinced everyone? He had previously imagined that he would become a Middle Heavenly Venerate because everyone was in a deadlock. Now he thought about it. Now that he thought about it, that was simply impossible. And he didn't know what he had been thinking at the time. He had actually thought that it was possible. Perhaps it was because he had never experienced such a level of competition. He, Space-Time Heavenly Venerate, was one of the rare, unparalleled geniuses of recent years. He had risen in such a short period of time, broken through the sky past tribulation, and even made a name for himself. He was said to be on par with the East, South, West, and West Heavenly Venerates. He had ruled over the vast land of the Central region for countless years and had rarely met a worthy opponent. Now that he thought about it, it was actually just the result of the East, South, West, and West Heavenly Venerates restraining each other and reaching a compromise. All of a sudden, all of his dreams had been shattered, and he had woken up. However, he also thought that if either the Eastern Heavenly Venerate or the Heaven City Lord became a Middle Heavenly Venerate, then there would inevitably be an empty position for them, and that position would be his. Although he wasn't confident that he could be on par with the East, South, West, and West Heavenly Venerates, he felt that he had too much of an advantage over the others. The others couldn't compete with him, so there was nothing he could do about it. Since he couldn't fight for the position of Middle Heavenly Venerate, he could only settle for the next best thing. What's impossible about that? Whether it's true or false is actually very easy to judge, isn't it? Yishuin stepped forward and said, "When you comprehend the Tao, you just need to sense the laws of the 5 elements, especially the metal-attributed laws, to see if their depth has increased. Won't you know then?" Because he had also participated in the battle of the 7th Gold Epoch, he was very clear that this was not boasting, but the truth. The strengthening of the martial epoch's heavenly Tao had many benefits, including the appearance of more natural treasures, the emergence of more geniuses, and easier cultivation. However, these all required a long time to verify. There was no way to find any clues in a short period of time. Hence, directly sensing the metal-attributed laws was the fastest way. Because the martial epoch had devoured the 7th Gold Epoch, the metal-attributed laws in the martial epoch would become stronger. Sooner or later, they would become one of the top-ranked laws. Who knew how many super experts cultivating the metal-attributed laws would be born? Because there were so many benefits, it could be said to be a blessing to all living beings. Hence, the heavenly Tao would send down countless chi of virtue as a reward for Yi Shiwen and the others. The heavenly Tao was fair. This saying was not wrong at all. Everyone reacted. Everything else could be faked, but this could not be faked. They closed their eyes and sensed it. Indeed, they immediately felt the changes in the laws. The metal-attributed laws, which were originally very strong, suddenly became the strongest laws, second only to time, space, and a few other laws. Aside from the destruction of the Seventh Gold Era, there was no other possibility that could have caused such a change. They did not suspect anything else. After all, in the entire Fortune God dynasty, the forces with such ability were few and far between. If it was done by creatures from another realm, it would be impossible for there to be no news at all. The entire world would have known about it long ago. Currently, there was no news at all. Furthermore, the Eastern Heavenly Venerate would not lie about this. Otherwise, once his lie was exposed, not to mention becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate, he would not even be able to become an Eastern Heavenly Venerate. He would be blasted off the throne. For a moment, the entire hall was incomparably quiet. One could hear a pin drop. The Heavenly Venerates were shocked. As for the Emperor Lords, they did not dare to say anything. They did not even dare to breathe. This was because they knew that the Middle Heavenly Venerate's position would be decided at this critical moment. The Moon City Lord's face was particularly ugly. He had been so arrogant before because he was certain that the Eastern Heavenly Venerate could not become a Middle Heavenly Venerate. This position would definitely fall into the hands of the Sky City Lord. Nothing could happen to him. But now everything had changed. The situation had taken a sharp turn for the worse. The Eastern Heavenly Venerate had actually hidden such a trump card. I did not expect Dao's friend to achieve such a great feat without making a sound. I admire you, the Sky City Lord said as he looked at the Eastern Heavenly Venerate. Given his cultivation and state of mind, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens for him to say such words. But the Eastern Heavenly Venerate had done it. Everyone knew that the Eastern Heavenly Venerate's promotion to the Middle Heavenly Venerate was already a done deal after the Sky City Lord said such words. Chapter 3495. At this point, it could be said that they were facing each other head-on. First, the Sky City Lord caught everyone off guard. Then, the Eastern Tianzuan made his move and announced an unparalleled achievement. Everyone was defeated. In the face of this unparalleled achievement, all the other competitors had no way to resist. At first, Spacetime Tianzuan and the others thought that they were unable to resist the Sky City Lord this time because the time was too short. They simply did not have enough time to make great contributions. However, the Eastern Tianzuan had used reality to slap them in the face. Was it really because there was not enough time? Perhaps it was true. Because the time was too short, they did not have enough time to make an overwhelming contribution. All they could think of were ordinary contributions. Destroying several great Tianzuan of the ancient era and tens of millions of troops was already a very good achievement. If not for this, Spacetime Tianzuan would not have been so confident. However, no matter how crazy he would not have thought of destroying the ancient era, because that was almost impossible. However, the Eastern Tianzuan did what everyone thought was impossible. He completed the reversal of the situation, defeated all the strong enemies, and truly became a Middle Tianzuan. Sir, please advance to Middle Tianzuan. It was unknown which emperor shouted, but it quickly became a trend. Even those who did not like the Eastern Tianzuan would not go against the wishes of everyone at this time. This was because they knew very well that the Eastern Tianzuan, who had made such a great contribution, was almost unstoppable. He was about to become a Middle Tianzuan. Even the Sky City Lord had tacitly agreed to this. During the competition, they used many methods, colluded with each other, and suppressed each other. However, once someone obtained the Middle Tianzuan position with an absolute advantage, then they would no longer refuse to admit it. This was because it was not necessary. Apart from embarrassing themselves, there was no other use. People who only knew how to use insidious methods could not cultivate to this point. Even the Moon City Lord, who Yishuan hated very much, would not do such a thing. Although he was insidious, he would not do such a thing. This was because they all had a bottom line. Those who did not have a bottom line were already dead. All right, since no one has any objections, then I will advance to Middle Empyrean. The East Heavenly Venerate wasn't polite at all. As soon as he finished speaking, endless multicolored lights descended from the sky and landed on his body. The position of Middle Heavenly Venerate was equivalent to that of the vice-ruler of the Fortune Divine Dynasty. In the current situation where the Fortune Heavenly Monarch wasn't present, Middle Heavenly Venerates were considered supreme among all the Heavenly Venerates. He was also the one who managed the world on behalf of the heavens, so he would naturally receive the protection of the heavens. This was also a great merit. Countless heavenly merit was added to his body, forming a dazzling golden expanse on his body. This is the body of merit. He actually managed to cultivate the body of merit. The Heaven City Lord's eyes widened. The golden light that filled the sky was clearly the body of merit. He might have had some doubts before, but now he had no doubts at all. The amount of merit needed to cultivate a legendary physique like the body of merit was enough to make one despair. Even though he, as the Heaven City's castellan, had presided over Heaven City for countless years and had made countless contributions to the Fortune Divine Dynasty, the amount of contribution he had accumulated was far from enough to refine the physique of virtue. Compared to him, the East Heavenly Venerate situation was no different. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible to obtain so much chi of merit. Thus, there was only one possibility. One had to destroy the seventh gold epoch in order to refine the body of merit. Since ancient times, in the martial epoch, people who managed to cultivate a body of beneficence were as rare as phoenix feathers and Chilean horns. There were only 2 or 3 of them, and any one of them was an unrivaled character whose fame shook the world. The best of them was the Fortune Heavenly Lord. Originally, the East Heavenly Venerate was already terrifying enough. Now that he had cultivated the body of merit, his strength would leap to become the strongest person in their echelon. Not only would he have made great contributions, but he would also have the strength to suppress everyone else. This time, no matter how unwilling the Heaven City's castellan was, he could only accept this crushing defeat in front of such a powerful East Heavenly Venerate. If you want to get back at him, that would be a matter for the future. This time, it ended in failure. Not only the Heaven City's castellan, but almost everyone else also saw the East Heavenly Venerate's body of merit and gasped. The body of merit was one of the most terrifying physiques in the world. Once it was cultivated, it would be almost invincible. Innately invincible, free from karma. Any martial arts that specialized in harming the spirit would all be ineffective in the face of this physique. It was just like Yi Shiwen using the World Tree to protect his spirit. All spirit attacks were ineffective. Although the methods were different, the results were the same. It was very rare. Whether it was to achieve the body of merit or to obtain the World Tree, it was possible only with supreme opportunities. In order to achieve the body of merit, the East Heavenly Venerate had destroyed the 7th Gold Era. Since Yi Shiwen obtained the Enlightening Mind Ancient Tree, he had constantly cultivated it. In the process of cultivating the World Tree, it was unknown how many resources he had consumed. It was simply unimaginable. Rays of light descended from the sky, and the faint sound of chanting came from the heavenly way. For a time, all kinds of visions erupted like a well, and auspicious lights shone brightly. This represented the heavenly way's recognition of the East Heavenly Venerate's promotion to the Middle Heavenly Venerate. Although it was not personally appointed by the Good Fortune Heaven Lord, it was the will of the heavens. The will of the heavens was the will of all living beings in the world. Even the Good Fortune Heaven Lord could not go against it. Of course, if the Good Fortune Heaven Lord had returned, he might not have cared at all. This was too common for him. The East Heavenly Venerate was promoted to the Middle Heavenly Venerate. The throne under him began to rumble and rise until it was a little higher than the other Heavenly Venerate city lords. After all, the Middle Heavenly Venerate was just a deputy lord. He was not the real lord, so he could not stand above everyone else. Greetings, Middle Heavenly Venerate. Everyone either bowed half or fully. They all paid their respects to the East Empyrean, who was now a Middle Empyrean. Even the unwilling Heaven City lords and others were no exception. This was respect for the rules. Today, he could take the lead to disrespect the Middle Heavenly Venerate. Then, in the future, there would be people who would not put him in their eyes. The so-called initiator, would there not be a successor? The Middle Heavenly Venerate only felt that he had countless merits and countless laws on his body. His connection with the entire martial Tao epoch was becoming tighter and tighter. This was also the price he had to pay. Since he had received the benefits of becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate, he naturally had to bear the responsibility of becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate. It was never as simple as just having benefits. Good, since I've become a Middle Heavenly Venerate today, I will bear the responsibility I should have. I will lead the Fortune God dynasty from glory to even greater glory. The Middle Heavenly Venerate waved his hand. He had already extricated himself from the initial excitement of becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate. Before we discuss how to take back Moon City, I suggest that we strip Moon City's city lord of his position and put him in custody. Whether or not he colluded with the demonic path epoch is something we have yet to investigate. However, because of his selfishness, he lost one of the 10 great divine cities, Moon City. This is an unforgivable crime. If we do not punish him severely, how can we convince the masses? The Middle Heavenly Venerate's gaze was as deep as the universe. He swept his gaze over everyone, seemingly seeking their opinion. However, no one doubted his determination. This was clear from the dispute between him and Moon City's city lord. A phrase appeared in everyone's minds. A new official would make drastic changes. Of all things, Moon City's city lord had fallen into his hands. He was a Middle Heavenly Venerate, so he naturally had such authority. Moreover, everyone was indeed worried about someone who might be related to the demonic path epoch sitting in the position of Moon City's city lord again. Many people coveted the position of Moon City's city lord and had their own opinions about it. Thus, this was the general trend in the hearts of the people. The Middle Heavenly Venerate's words undoubtedly conformed to the hearts of the people. I agree with the Middle Heavenly Venerate. Since he has committed a great crime, he should pay the price. Yi Shiwen stepped forward to support the Middle Heavenly Venerate. They had already reached this point and were about to force the Moon City Lord into a desperate situation. How could he give up? That's right. Debts must be paid back. Mistakes must be punished. It is only right and proper. If we let someone like him continue to be the Moon City Lord because of his selfishness, I won't accept it either. Seeing that Yi Shiwen had already taken the lead, the others immediately agreed. It was everyone's wish to have him step down. He had already become the target of public criticism. Because of the fall of Moon City, it had caused countless disturbances. How many people had died? How many people hated him? The Moon City Lord didn't even know about this. He actually thought that he was fine. He had been tyrannical and domineering everywhere he went. Now, this had become a storm that would destroy him. The Moon City Lord probably didn't expect that the Middle Heavenly Venerate's words would cause so many people to agree. Many of them, who had previously called him brothers, had extremely ugly expressions. Even the Sky City Lord, who had promised to protect him and write off his sin of losing Moon City, could only pretend that he didn't see it. If he had become a Middle Heavenly Venerate, he might have been able to rely on the authority of a Middle Heavenly Venerate to erase him. But now that he had lost the competition, what could he do? Moreover, how could he not have any thoughts about the Moon City Lord? For his own selfishness, Moon City had fallen. Who knew how many experts and elites had been lost in the fall of Moon City? Moon City Lord, see for yourself. The general trend is like this. Quickly surrender and save me the trouble. The Middle Heavenly Venerate shouted. The Moon City Lord's expression was ferocious. Seeing that he had been deserted, he couldn't help but roar. Middle Heavenly Venerate, you are only half a level higher than me. Unless the Fate Creation Heaven Lord is resurrected, no one has the right to criticize me. My position as the Moon City Lord wasn't conferred by you, so you have no right to abolish it. Stubborn fool. Chapter 3496. Stubborn fool. The middle heavenly venerate slapped the armrest and shouted. The Moon City Lord was not going to back down. He knew that he could not back down now. If he did, his status in the Fortune God dynasty would plummet, and he would no longer be able to be compared to his previous self. Middle heavenly venerate. Must we do this? The Sky City Lord stepped forward. Although the East Heavenly Venerate had been promoted to the Middle Heavenly Venerate, it didn't mean that he didn't have the right to speak. After all, the Middle Heavenly Venerate was only a deputy lord, not a lord. His authority hadn't reached such a level yet. Although the Moon City Lord has made a mistake, we can let him atone for his crimes with meritorious service. The Sun City Lord also stepped forward and said. The Middle Heavenly Venerate looked at the two of them and sneered. How could he not understand that these two might not really like the Moon City Lord? However, seeing that he had dealt a heavy blow to the Moon City Lord, it was inevitable that they would feel a little sad. Atone for his crimes with meritorious service? Does he look like he's atoning for his crimes with meritorious service? During the last battle, he was the first to run. If my memory serves me right, it was you, the Sun City Lord, who led the army to the end. The Middle Heavenly Venerate sneered. Hearing the Middle Empyrean mention this, everyone finally remembered that during the last battle, this seemed to be true. But at that time, the army had been routed by the heaven-splitting demon axe, and countless people had died. Even if the remaining people hadn't died, they had fled in panic. In that chaotic situation, almost no one would pay attention to these things. With the threat of the heaven-splitting demonic axe falling on them at any time, and the armies of various eras chasing after them, no one had the time to think about these things. After returning, this matter was buried in the bottom of their hearts, a scar that they didn't want to mention. At that time, everyone's performance was very poor, and no one was stronger than anyone else. Naturally, they chose to ignore it. And today, hearing the Middle Heavenly Venerate mention it, it seemed to be the case. It was just that they didn't think too much about it before, because they were also fleeing frantically. It was just the pot calling the kettle black. What else could they say? However, now that he thought about it, he felt that something was wrong. As one of the few city lords present at the scene, the Moon City Lord did not fight a bloody battle. Instead, he immediately escaped. Now that they thought about it, back in Moon City, he hadn't stayed behind to live and die with the city. Instead, he had brought his people and fled. At first, everyone could understand. As a high and mighty top Empyrean, how could he be buried with the fall of the city? But now that he thought about it, there was indeed something illogical. He escaped twice. Can we count on such a person to atone for his crimes? The Middle Heavenly Sovereign said coldly, not giving any face to the Sky City Lord and the Sun City Lord. He had made up his mind that this time, he would not let the Moon City Lord escape. As the saying went, if you didn't kill a snake, you would suffer. Moreover, the Moon City Lord was not a snake. He was a ferocious tiger, a poisonous dragon. If he didn't die, it wouldn't be as simple as suffering. He had already seen through it long ago. In a situation where he had the upper hand, the Moon City Lord did not lack the courage to fight. However, if he was in an extremely disadvantageous situation, like when Moon City had been breached and the heaven-splitting devil axe had threatened him, he would prioritize self-preservation. This kind of person could not be relied on. Moreover, he was now a Middle Heavenly Venerate and in charge of the Fortune God dynasty. Naturally, he had to be clear about rewards and punishments. The Moon City Lord had committed such a grave mistake, so he naturally had to pay the price. Unclear rewards and punishments were the most important thing for a force. Some ordinary matters could be put aside, but how could they let go of such a grave crime so easily? Moreover, the Moon City Lord had opposed him many times and had even contacted the Sky City Lord and the others. No matter what, he had to stand up and take responsibility. Moon City Lord, you have committed such a grave mistake and have refused to mend your ways despite repeated admonitions. As the Middle Heavenly Venerate of the Fortune God dynasty, I hereby announce that you will be imprisoned for 100 million years as a warning to others. The middle heavenly venerate's words made the other heavenly venerates suck in a breath of cold air. Being imprisoned for 100 million years was an unimaginably long time, even for the heavenly venerates. It was equivalent to a lifetime imprisonment. However, no one felt that there was anything wrong with this punishment. Indeed, compared to the consequences caused by the Moon City Lord, this was indeed nothing. Imprisoned for 100 million years. The Moon City Lord's eyes widened and his face turned ashen. You, middle heavenly venerate, you merely used a chicken feather as a token of authority. How many contributions have I made to the Fortune God dynasty? I am not convinced. You have indeed contributed a lot to the Fortune Divine dynasty, but so what? The benefits you've obtained from the Fortune Divine dynasty in these years are not enough. Moreover, nothing you have done can make up for your sin of losing Moon City. The middle heavenly venerate reprimanded bluntly. You want me to obediently surrender? How is that possible? The city lord of Luna City roared. He was not willing to give up just like that. Too many things could happen in 100 million years. It was enough for him to fall out of the top ranks. After 100 million years, there would be no place for him to stand. Moreover, he did not feel that he was in the wrong. It was just the middle heavenly venerate's revenge. How could he be willing? However, it was obvious that all the heavenly venerates supported the middle heavenly venerate. He could not find anyone here to support him. With a loud bellow, countless laws swept out from his body. All sorts of dazzling golden and moonlight laws danced in the air, condensing in his hands. With a single strike, it turned into a powerful torrent. It was as if a Kuan Pong had come to life. A single wing could shatter the galaxy as it charged towards the middle heavenly venerate. How dare you? The middle heavenly venerate slammed the armrest of his chair in anger. The other heavenly venerates were also shocked. They were shocked by the Moon City Lord's boldness. A middle heavenly venerate was equivalent to a deputy emperor in the Fortune God dynasty. They represented the entire Fortune God dynasty. Resisting and attacking a middle heavenly venerate was equivalent to becoming an enemy of the entire Fortune God dynasty. This was something they had never imagined would happen. Everyone knew how terrifying the Fortune God dynasty was because they were one of them. Naturally, they understood the terrifying strength of the Fortune God dynasty, which was far beyond the imagination of outsiders. This torrent arrived 3 inches in front of the middle heavenly venerate. However, the middle heavenly venerate's body emitted endless golden light of virtue, forming a golden bell that protected him. The Moon City Lord's attack could not harm the middle heavenly venerate at all. At this time, Yi Shiwen, who was watching the battle from the side, suddenly thought of something. He shouted, "Not good. He is going to betray us." He instantly understood why the Moon City Lord was so bold. He actually dared to attack a middle heavenly venerate. This was clearly just a pretense. Attacking a middle heavenly venerate, not to mention the strength that a middle heavenly venerate possessed, just the fact that he was going against the Fortune God dynasty was enough to make it so that no one could save him. Sun City Lord, Sky City Lord, Western Heavenly Venerate, Northern Heavenly Venerate, and Southern Heavenly Venerate were all present. Any one of them was no weaker than him. How could he escape from these people without using some tricks? It was likely that from a moment the Eastern Heavenly Venerate advanced to the Middle Heavenly Venerate, the Eastern Heavenly Venerate, and the Northern Heavenly Venerate, he had such thoughts. Everything he had said before was merely a perfunctory act. Sure enough, when everyone looked again, they saw that the Moon City Lord had already disappeared. When they opened their heavenly eyes, they discovered that the Moon City Lord had already escaped hundreds of millions of miles away. Not good, stop him. As the Moon City Lord, he knows a lot about our Fortune God dynasty. We can't let him escape. The Western Heavenly Venerate reprimanded. The other Heavenly Venerates also reacted. What kind of existence was the Moon City Lord? In the entire Fortune God dynasty, there were only a dozen people who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. His strength was at the pinnacle of the Fortune God dynasty. Moreover, he held great power and knew a lot of secrets that outsiders didn't know about. The consequences of an expert of this level defecting would be unimaginable. Chase after him, kill him. The Heavenly City's City Lord stomped his foot and prepared to chase after the Moon City Lord. No matter how much he supported the Moon City's City Lord, he knew what he had to do at this moment. The Moon City's City Lord had betrayed the Fortune Divine Dynasty, so he had to draw a clear line between him and the Moon City's City Lord. Don't worry, he wants to leave? It won't be that easy. The Middle Heavenly Venerate snorted coldly and flew out instantly. His speed was so fast that it surpassed the speed of time. He was even faster than the speed of tearing space. Wherever he passed, the space couldn't withstand his speed and crumbled into dust. His speed was so fast that he almost caught up to the Sky City City Lord in an instant. Although the Sky City City Lord was a step ahead, he was nothing in front of the Middle Heavenly Venerate. The Moon City City Lord couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine when he saw that the Middle Heavenly Venerate had caught up so quickly. Although they had some understanding of each other's strength, they rarely fought to the death. These City Lords and Heavenly Venerates all carried heavy responsibilities. The consequences would be unimaginable if they were to suffer any losses. It's useless. In this aspect, you can't be faster than me, the Middle Heavenly Venerate said coldly. His speed was too fast, and the Moon City City Lord couldn't catch up to him. The Moon City City Lord stopped. Since I can't escape, let's fight. Middle Heavenly Venerate, I know that you have comprehended the origin of the speed law, and there are few who can match you in this world. However, it's impossible for you to defeat me with your speed alone. The Moon City City Lord didn't look as miserable as he had been when he had wanted to escape. He had regained his calm demeanor. As a city lord of one of the 10 great divine cities, how could he not have any trump cards? He was confident that he wasn't inferior to anyone. Although he might not be able to defeat a Middle Heavenly Venerate, it was impossible for a Middle Heavenly Venerate to defeat him. Whether I can defeat you or not, you'll know once you try. You don't have to worry about others attacking you, because there's no need. I will personally suppress you. Chapter 3497. The Middle Heavenly Venerate stood with his hands behind his back. He was like the only true God in the universe. He could create heaven and earth, and he could also destroy heaven and earth. His aura was like a mountain. You want to take me down on your own? Ridiculous, ridiculous. The Moon City Lord said, I might be afraid of you if a few people attack me together. However, you want to take me down on your own? The Moon City Lord's expression was a bit sinister. He felt like he had been insulted. He was a city lord of one of the top 10 divine cities, yet the Middle Heavenly Venerate dared to look down on him. Had he forgotten himself after becoming a Middle Heavenly Venerate? Use whatever moves you have. You won't have a chance if you wait for me to make a move, the Middle Heavenly Venerate said. At this time, Yi Shiwen and the others had also caught up. However, they had heard the Middle Heavenly Venerate's words just now, so they didn't make a move. However, they still surrounded the Moon City Lord. In particular, the Southern Heavenly Venerate, the Western Heavenly Venerate, the Northern Heavenly Venerate, the Sky City Lord, and the Sun City Lord each occupied a corner, blocking all the escape routes of the Moon City Lord. However, the Moon City Lord couldn't care less. He had already guessed that he couldn't defeat the Middle Heavenly Venerate. So how could he escape? Then I'll show you, the Moon City Lord roared. Suddenly, countless stone tablets appeared around him. Each stone tablet was engraved with a scripture. Every word of these scriptures seemed to come to life. Ouyang had his own unique vitality. Below these stone tablets, there seemed to be a hell. Blood actually flowed from the bottom of the stone tablets. This is your moon steel? You really do have some skill. The Middle Heavenly Venerate didn't care when he saw the stone tablets. However, there was a bit of admiration on his face. Rumor has it that you've suppressed all the powerful enemies you've defeated over the years, as well as the super experts from the ancient era, in the moon prison under the steel of the moon. Now it seems that it's true. All the experts in the moon prison have been suppressed by you. You've absorbed all their power for your use, making you stronger and stronger. The steel of the moon has played a huge role in allowing you to reach this step. Everyone could feel the terrifying, explosive power contained beneath the moon steels. However, the middle heavenly venerate didn't seem to care at all. He was still talking cheerfully. I didn't expect you to know me so well. However, how can hearsay compare to experiencing it for yourself? You still have the time to talk and laugh now. You won't have the chance later. The city lord of Moon City said coldly. Whoosh! In an instant, as soon as the city lord finished speaking, a huge stone tablet the size of a mountain suddenly flew up and smashed towards the middle heavenly venerate. During this process, the countless scriptures seemed to come to life, as if they had turned into small people that were imprisoning something. Now that they were completely released, countless terrifying intents rushed out and turned into frightening mystic techniques and spells that bombarded the middle heavenly venerate. This wasn't just the power of the stone tablet. It was also the resentment of the many powerhouses suppressed under the stone tablet. After being suppressed in the moon prison for countless years, the resentment of these powerhouses had already reached an unimaginable level. Now that it was completely released, any stone tablet could seriously injure or even kill a middle heavenly venerate. It was extremely terrifying. This was the true reason why the Moon City Lord could run amok in the world. In the face of such an attack, the middle heavenly venerate wasn't the slightest bit afraid. He stretched out his arms, and a dazzling light erupted from his fists. Wisps of immortal light flowed out, making him sublimate to a frightening realm. He took a step forward, and his entire body flew out at an extreme speed. Everyone clearly saw his fist land on the stone tablet. Then, with a boom, the stone tablet was instantly smashed into powder. The many super life forms and powerhouses of the ancient epochs that were suppressed in the moon prison were also smashed into pieces in an instant. They turned into a sky full of blood mist that scattered in the primal chaos. There was simply no way to stop them. At this time, the middle heavenly venerate finally revealed his figure in the divine light. He didn't move at all and wasn't injured in the slightest. This move was simply useless against him. What a terrifying speed. It's this extreme speed that makes it so terrifying. When the speed reaches a certain level, it's the strongest in the world. It's invincible. Yi Shiwen looked at the two people confronting each other in the primal chaos. The battle just now replayed in his mind. The middle heavenly venerate didn't use any magical power or martial arts. He only relied on his extreme speed to erupt with such amazing power. If it was an ordinary heavenly venerate, he might have been smashed to death by him. Yi Shiwen finally understood why the middle heavenly venerate used all his merit chi to cultivate the body of merit. It was precisely because of the uniqueness of the nomological laws that he cultivated that the speed nomological laws were extremely fast and could kill any powerful enemy. However, the requirements for his physical body were also very high. The physical body of a middle heavenly venerate was already very strong, but it shouldn't be comparable to the body of merit. Now that he had cultivated the body of merit, it could be said that he was like a tiger that had grown wings. It was just a simple method, but there was no way to break it. In terms of speed, it was difficult to compare with him. It was also very difficult to injure a middle heavenly venerate who had cultivated the body of merit. He was innately invincible. The combination of these two simple magical power laws could create such an amazing effect. These top heavenly venerates were indeed not simple. Even a Moon City Lord couldn't be underestimated. His steel of the moon was infinitely powerful. If he hadn't encountered an opponent like the middle heavenly venerate, who couldn't be surrounded and whose numbers couldn't be measured, ordinary people would have a headache. So strong. The Moon City Lord suddenly opened his eyes wide. It seemed different from what he had initially thought. A steel of the moon naturally couldn't stump a middle heavenly venerate. However, it couldn't even simply delay time. This was completely beyond his expectations. As the saying goes, speed is the only thing that can't be broken in the world of martial arts. Now, these two elements were occupied by the middle heavenly venerate. Therefore, it was so difficult to deal with and instantly broke his steel of the moon. This steel of the moon and the lunar prison are indeed good methods. However, they aren't yours. If they aren't yours, you will never be able to use them to break through. The middle heavenly venerate seemed to sigh before he attacked again. Whoosh! The middle heavenly venerate's figure disappeared once again. This immediately made the Moon City Lord nervous. In an instant, his entire body was surrounded by all sorts of steels of the moon. The steel of the moon could be used to attack and retreat. It was indeed an extremely powerful method. What was even more amazing was that he could borrow the power of the powerhouses in the lunar prison to suppress and kill his opponents. Unfortunately, he had encountered a middle heavenly venerate. Unless he could surpass a middle heavenly venerate in two areas, he really couldn't do anything to him. While facing the Moon City Lord, who was surrounded by steel of the moon, the middle heavenly venerate didn't do anything else. He just charged forward. Boom, boom, boom. Loud rumbles echoed as the middle heavenly venerate's body was like a rampaging Tyrannosaurus. Just by relying on his extreme speed, he was able to smash everything into pieces. Even the largest steel of the moon in front of the middle heavenly venerate couldn't resist. His speed was really fast and had reached a terrifying realm. In almost an instant, countless steels of the moon were smashed into pieces. Although steels of the moon were constantly transferred over, how could they stop the middle heavenly venerate? In an instant, they were completely destroyed. What a terrifying battle technique. The Sky City Lord couldn't help but widen his eyes. Only now did he understand how powerful the middle heavenly venerate's combat strength was. The body of merit has really made up for his last weakness. From now on, he will be invincible just by relying on his speed and the body of merit. Although these people hadn't experienced a life-and-death battle, they still had some understanding of each other. Although the middle heavenly venerate's speed was terrifying, his physical body was his greatest weakness. If he encountered an existence with an incomparably powerful physical body, he might even end up hurting himself. Now that he had cultivated the body of merit, the middle heavenly venerate no longer had this weakness. His combat strength had increased by more than just a little. In the past, even the middle heavenly venerate wouldn't have been able to suppress the Moon City Lord so easily. While the Sky City Lord and the crowd were still in shock, the middle heavenly venerate had already broken through countless steels of the Moon City and rushed in front of the Moon City Lord. The Moon City Lord seemed to have been prepared for this. Middle heavenly venerate, did you think that I wouldn't be prepared at all? It's time to end here. The Moon City Lord had unknowingly raised a huge bright moon in his hands, which seemed to illuminate everything amidst the chaos. This bright moon contained all the power in his body. He had condensed it while the middle heavenly venerate was breaking through the steel of the moon. He wanted to seriously injure the middle heavenly venerate in one go. Boom! This bright moon smashed down and engulfed the middle heavenly venerate in an instant. Success! Ha ha ha! The Moon City Lord laughed heartily. He had finally succeeded. The strength that the middle heavenly venerate had displayed just now had been too shocking. Even he couldn't help but worry. However, before the City Lord of Moon City could finish laughing, endless golden light tore the moon apart. A huge hand reached out from within and grabbed the City Lord of Moon City. The huge hand was covered with a huge seal, character, and the City Lord of Moon City was sealed within it. A huge seal formed in the void. Within the seal, the Moon City Lord struggled frantically. It looked like he was about to break out of the seal. The middle heavenly venerate's figure appeared, and another sealing hand smashed down, instantly reinforcing the seal and suppressing the Moon City Lord's struggle. Chapter 3498. What incredible speed! It wasn't until the middle heavenly venerate sealed the Moon City Lord that everyone finally regained their wits. Everything had happened too quickly. The middle heavenly venerate had defeated the Moon City Lord in a flash and sealed him. It hadn't taken a 1,000-day-long battle to defeat the Moon City Lord as everyone had expected. This had already gone against everyone's expectations. The 10 great divine cities' city lords were on the same level as the eastern, southern, western, and western heavenly venerates. Although there might be a disparity, it shouldn't be this great. Just how strong has this middle heavenly venerate become? How many benefits did he reap from the destruction of the seventh gold era? This was the first thought that came to the minds of many heavenly venerates after their initial disbelief. What kind of benefits had he obtained to widen the gap between the Moon City Lord and the middle heavenly venerate to such an extent? It must be far more than just the merit energy and the body of merit. Many people guess that it definitely wasn't that simple. This sort of crushing battle wasn't something that could be caused by a small gap. In just a moment, many possibilities flashed through everyone's minds. How could they not be curious about the benefits that could increase a middle heavenly venerate's combat strength so much? No, the gap between them isn't that great. It's just that the Moon City Lord was restrained and caught off guard. That move could have been a sure kill, but it's a pity that the middle heavenly venerate withstood that move and was able to catch the Moon City Lord off guard. However, the middle heavenly venerate's strength has indeed increased a lot. The Sky City Lord could clearly see that the middle heavenly venerate's combat strength hadn't reached that tyrannical level yet. He couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. In the end, the middle heavenly venerate hadn't surpassed that level. As long as he didn't reach that level, there wasn't much to worry about. Otherwise, if he had reached that level, then the entire Fortune Divine Dynasty structure would have changed. Just like the Fortune Heavenly Monarch of the past, no one would dare to go against him, and everyone would have to crawl at his feet. To a peerless figure like him, this was the most unacceptable. That was because they were used to being high and mighty, used to bossing people around. They seemed to have instinctively forgotten about that subservience. However, no matter how shocked everyone was or how the middle heavenly venerate had done it, the middle heavenly venerate had indeed done it. As the saying went, a new broom sweeps clean. This flame had completely ignited the prestige of a middle heavenly venerate. He had casually suppressed a city lord of one of the 10 great divine cities. This kind of shocking performance had thoroughly shocked all the other heavenly venerates. Although it wasn't that he was willing to submit, he didn't dare to play any tricks under his nose. After subduing Moon City's city lord, the Middle Empyrean issued his first order. Since Moon City's city lord had wanted to defect, he was sentenced to be imprisoned for 1 billion years. This was 10 times the original sentence. This was because the consequences of defection were far worse than the fall of Moon City. Now, no one spoke up for Moon City's city lord. Everyone could see that Moon City's city lord had completely lost his power. At this time, anyone who had anything to do with him would be going against the middle heavenly venerate. No one was willing to go head-on against the middle heavenly venerate, who was currently in the limelight, for someone who had lost his power and might not appear again in the future. Now that Moon City's city lord has defected and been suppressed by me, all other heavenly venerates, emperor lords, and everyone else in Moon City will temporarily be under the command of Sun City's city lord. When a new Moon City Lord is elected, they will be under the command of the new Moon City Lord. The middle heavenly venerate didn't kill off the remaining Moon City subordinates. Firstly, not everyone was a direct descendant of Moon City's city lord. Secondly, even the Moon City's city lord had been suppressed. So what did the others count for? Moreover, maintaining the balance between the 10 great divine cities was his responsibility. He couldn't let the new Moon City Lord have no one he could use, right? Yes, the heavenly venerates and emperor lords of Moon City nodded. Many of them even heaved a sigh of relief. Moon City's city lord hadn't been popular in Moon City all these years. His tyrannical ways had made many heavenly venerates and emperor lords feel pressured. Furthermore, this time, because of his personal reasons, their entire clan, which had been based in Moon City, had been razed to the ground. Their entire sect had been destroyed, and their countless years of accumulation had been snatched away by the ancient era. The losses were simply immeasurable. If there was anyone who hated Moon City's city lord the most, it would be them. It was only because Moon City's city lord held a high position and was terrifyingly strong that they had no choice but but to swallow this anger. Now that Moon City's city lord had finally been dealt with, they couldn't be happier. All right, let's return to Sun City now and discuss the creation universe map, the Middle Heavenly Venerates said. At this time, all the Heavenly Venerates knew that they had finally reached this step. In fact, everything that had happened before was merely an accident. Even the craziest person wouldn't have thought that the accident would escalate to this extent, ending with Moon City's city lord being sealed. Activating the Fortune Universe diagram was the most crucial thing. If they wanted to resist the heaven-splitting demonic acts, they had no choice but to activate the Fortune Universe diagram. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to resist the heaven-splitting demonic acts by themselves. Although it was very difficult to mobilize the heaven-splitting devil axe, and every time it was mobilized, the power of a single strike that could destroy the Fortune God Dynasty's army was truly shocking. When they returned to the main hall, all the Heavenly Venerates and Emperor Lords took their seats. The Middle Heavenly Venerate looked at everyone with a satisfied smile on his face. In the name of the Fortune God Dynasty's Middle Heavenly Venerate, I announce that we can mobilize the Creation Universe map. Everyone knows that we absolutely cannot fail in this battle to retake Moon City. Even the Creation Universe map has been mobilized. If we still fail to retake Moon City, the consequences will be unimaginable. I think everyone understands. Understood. Everyone nodded, expressing their understanding. It's good that everyone understands. I will personally return to the Fortune God Dynasty and bring the Creation Universe map here. All of you will guard your respective positions, train your troops, cultivate, and wait for the enlistment. The Middle Heavenly Venerate said, I won't waste any more words. Time is of the essence. Every minute and every second is crucial. All of you could disperse. Everyone nodded, then turned into streaks of light and disappeared. They also understood the urgency of the Middle Heavenly Venerate's words. Originally, when a Middle Heavenly Venerate was promoted, they would definitely organize a celebration to show their dignity. But now, they couldn't care about that. Obviously, they didn't have the time. Since the Middle Heavenly Venerate didn't mention this matter, then they wouldn't mention it either. All right, all of you return to the encampment first. Yishuan sent Bien Xiaoya and the others back to the human race's encampment, and then went to the Middle Heavenly Venerate's temporary residence. At this time, the War Venerate, Empyrean Silver Moon, Mr. Huang, and the others had already arrived. Those who had rushed over at this time were the direct descendants of Empyrean Venerates. They were also the first wave to come to celebrate. Although the Middle Heavenly Venerate's celebration wasn't in a hurry and could be delayed for the time being, it was still necessary to come and congratulate them. In particular, those who weren't close to the Middle Heavenly Venerate wanted to take this opportunity to become familiar with them. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know that someone was making things difficult for them. After arriving, Yishuan first cupped his hands and said, Congratulations on becoming a Middle Heavenly Lord. Wu Zun is too polite. The Middle Heavenly Venerate's face was full of smiles. Although victory was already in his grasp, he was still very excited about successfully ascending to the position of Middle Heavenly Venerate. However, he couldn't show it in front of others. However, it didn't matter in front of Yishuan and the others. There was no need to keep a straight face in front of them. This time, I was able to ascend to the position of Middle Heavenly Venerate because of everyone's help. Middle Heavenly Venerate cupped his hands and said, Many thanks to everyone. Middle Empyrean, you're too polite. You're welcome, you're welcome. We did nothing more than lift a finger. Yishuan and the others quickly replied politely. Since we're all on the same side, I won't be too polite. Middle Heavenly Venerate said with a smile, I will stay here for a few more days to accept the congratulations of the other Heavenly Venerates. After that, I will return to the Fortune God Dynasty. This time, I will only bring Mr. Huang with me. The others will stay here and help defend Sun City. I guess the news of us using the Fortune Universe map has already been discovered by the ancient era. It's hard to guarantee that they won't take the risk and attack the nearest city, Sun City. Middle Heavenly Venerate had Mr. Huang as his subordinate. The ancient era had also developed many undercover agents and spies in the Fortune God dynasty. Some of the more confidential matters might not be known. However, using the Fortune Universe map was a matter of great importance. It was impossible for them not to know. Therefore, it was reasonable for Middle Heavenly Venerate to be careful. After all, compared to the other divine cities, Moon City and Sun City were the closest and most likely to be attacked. During the time I returned to the Fortune God dynasty and used the Fortune Universe map, all of you should seize the time to train your men. Next, when we attack Moon City, all of you will be the main force. This is my first battle after taking office. There can be no mistakes. All of you are so close to me, and everyone is watching. Naturally, you can't just sit back and do nothing. Moreover, this way, I will have a reason to reward you. Middle Heavenly Venerate said. Everyone naturally understood that as the direct subordinates of Middle Heavenly Venerates, they would naturally be the main force in this battle. However, they wouldn't be cannon fodder. Middle Heavenly Venerates wouldn't do something as stupid as weakening their direct subordinates. If they did a good job, they would also get a lot of rewards. Seeing everyone nod, Middle Heavenly Venerate continued. The last thing is about the position of East Heavenly Venerate. Chapter 3499. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They knew that the real show was coming. From the beginning, when they knew that the Middle Heavenly Master would fight for this position, they knew that the Eastern Heavenly Master's position might be vacant. After the Middle Heavenly Master's promotion was successful, this was no longer just a hypothesis, but a fact in front of everyone. Especially Yi Shiwen and Silver Moon, who were favored by the Middle Heavenly Master, naturally became each other's competitors. The two of them knew that in order to compete for the Eastern Heavenly Master's position, both sides would inevitably have a fierce battle. The Middle Heavenly Master glanced at everyone and said, "From my selfish point of view, I certainly hope that the Eastern Heavenly Master can be chosen between the two of you, but in fact, it will be very difficult. The Eastern Heavenly Master's position is a divine tool that cannot be privately given. I can't give it to whoever I want." Although the Middle Celestial Master was a Deputy Celestial Master, he wasn't someone like the Fortune Creation Heavenly Lord. Therefore, he couldn't be like the Fortune Creation Heavenly Lord, conferring titles to whoever he wanted. Even the Fortune Creation Heavenly Lord couldn't randomly confer titles without considering the actual situation, let alone the Middle Heavenly Master. At most, he could only recommend and support. Whether or not they could become the Eastern Heavenly Master depended on the efforts of the two. We understand. Yi Shiwen and Silver Moon looked at each other and understood. When the time comes, it will not be just the two of you who will participate in the competition. The Southern Heavenly Master, the Northern Heavenly Master, the Western Heavenly Master, and even the city lords of other divine cities may nominate their own candidates. These people may become your enemies. Most importantly, the Space-Time Heavenly Master may also compete with you. Although his strength is not considered strong among our group, he is still much stronger than the two of you, said the Middle Heavenly Master. Yi Shiwen and Silver Moon were in awe. Indeed, compared to the others, the most terrifying person was the Space-Time Heavenly Master. Although his performance in the competition for the Middle Heavenly Master's position was like a clown jumping up and down, and then he was slapped by the Sky City Lord and the Middle Heavenly Master. However, in fact, he was a first-class figure who had ruled the vast territory of the Central Region for a long time. Even the strong clans and great sects of the Central Region couldn't do anything to him. He was also a powerful figure. Most importantly, there was still no official position for such a powerful mission. Only the Eastern Heavenly Venerate or the Moon City Lord could match his status and strength. Compared to the position of the Moon City Lord, which was far above the epic battlefield, the position of the Eastern Heavenly Venerate was more attractive. It was absolutely impossible to say that the Space-Time Heavenly Master wouldn't participate in the competition. After the Middle Heavenly Master returned, he wouldn't even have a place to stay. It wouldn't be appropriate for him to temporarily assume the leadership of the Central Region unless he was willing to lower his head and seek a position under the middle heavenly master. Otherwise, it was almost certain that he would fight for the Eastern Heavenly Master's position. After all, he was a genius Heavenly Master in recent years. His rise was very short, but he had already become the world-shaking space-time Heavenly Master. His reputation was well-deserved. The Middle Heavenly Master glanced at the Silver Moon Heavenly Master and Yishuan. He felt that the two of them were evenly matched. It was hard to say who was most likely to become the Eastern Heavenly Master in the end. Even if the space-time Heavenly Master was excluded, it was difficult to choose between the two. The Silver Moon Heavenly Master had a foundation. Now that she had broken through the Heavenly Gate, she could restore her original cultivation as long as she was given a certain amount of time. At that time, she would be another Heavenly Master that would shock the world. Although Yishuan's foundation couldn't be compared to Silver Moon Heavenly Master's, his growth over the years was too shocking. He had grown to this point in such a short time. In the future, when the election for the Eastern Heavenly Master's position began, it wasn't impossible for him to reach that level. It was still unclear who had more hope. Moreover, there was also the Big Tiger Spacetime Heavenly Master. The Middle Heavenly Master hoped that the person he recommended could become the Eastern Heavenly Master and inherit this position. Then, he would have 2 seats among the 5 Heavenly Masters, and his control over the Fortune God dynasty would be further strengthened. However, this matter couldn't be forced. Everything depended on the two of them. I hope that you can succeed, but the most important thing is still the two of you. I won't say much about the rest. Go back and prepare yourselves. I also need to prepare a little to receive the congratulations of the other Heavenly Masters. The Middle Heavenly Master didn't say any more nonsense and directly ordered them to leave. The others understood and turned to leave. Mr. Huang, do you think one of these two can become the Eastern Heavenly Master? The Middle Heavenly Master asked Mr. Huang. After all, Mr. Huang was different from the others. His 7th gold era had been destroyed, so he could only rely on the Middle Heavenly Master. The others like Silver Moon Heavenly Master, Yishuan, War Master, and the others had their own foundations. Although they were all direct descendants, they had their own interests. They couldn't be considered true confidants, unlike Mr. Huang. If one of these two can become the Middle Heavenly Master, I think there might be a chance of becoming a martial venerable. Mr. Huang said, "Oh, why do you think so?" The Middle Heavenly Master asked curiously. In terms of current strength, there is not much difference between the two. It is even possible that there will be no difference until the election of the Eastern Heavenly Master. However, this is meaningless. In front of them, there is still space-time Heavenly Master blocking their way. Therefore, it is useless no matter how strong they are. Mr. Huang said, with the recovery speed of Silver Moon Heavenly Master, she most likely won't be able to catch up with the strength of space-time Heavenly Master. However, it is hard to say for Martial Venerable because he has created too many miracles along the way. Maybe he will create another miracle. That's right, he has created too many miracles. Sometimes I also wonder if he is too blessed by the heavens. In such a short period of time, he has already left the majority of Empyreans behind. This kind of person is hard to find in this world. The Middle Heavenly Master said with a slight smile. In his heart, he was also very emotional about Yishuan's rocket-like cultivation speed. I can't calculate anything about these two people. Everything will be left to time. It is naturally good if the Eastern Heavenly Master position falls into the hands of Li Lang. If not, it is also the will of the heavens. I will not force it, the Middle Heavenly Venerate said faintly. Although he was unwilling, he had no other choice. Who asked him to have no other candidates in his pocket? Mr. Huang could compete with him, but he was not a member of the Fortune Divine dynasty. Just this point alone made him unqualified to compete for the position of East Heavenly Venerate. Yishuan didn't know that the Middle Heavenly Master and Mr. Huang had such a conversation after he left. He only returned to the human race's encampment because he knew that it would be a rare period of peace. The Middle Heavenly Master returned to the Fortune God dynasty. It was not easy to mobilize the creation universe map. Just like how it was difficult to mobilize the heaven-splitting devil axe in the Devil era, it was also difficult for the Fortune God dynasty to mobilize the creation universe map. Generally speaking, the creation universe map would only be mobilized when there was an extreme crisis. Otherwise, it would stay in the Fortune God capital to protect the safety of the entire central region. With the creation universe map, the central region could not be invaded even if there was a crisis since ancient times. Therefore, the central region rarely suffered from the flames of war and was extremely prosperous. There were countless experts in the central region. Compared to the other regions, the central region was superior. There were countless strong clans and great sects in the central region. As for the foreign creatures besieging the Fortune God capital, it was just an accident. In the end, they were not able to mobilize the creation universe map. Otherwise, the foreign creatures would not have had the chance to jump around. After the middle heavenly master returned, it was inevitable that there would be a series of battles. If he made great contributions, he would naturally obtain great benefits. Similarly, there were also many dangers. He had to be careful. He had to take advantage of this opportunity to enhance his strength. Now, he was already at the peak of the fourth realm. In terms of combat effectiveness, he could even fight evenly with the masters of the fifth realm. However, it was impossible for him to advance further in a short period of time and reach the fifth realm. If he had used the chi of virtue for cultivation, then it would indeed be enough. But in the end, he didn't do so because it would be too wasteful. If he wanted to improve his combat strength in a short time, he could refine the martial emperor seal into the revered martial seal. In particular, after adding the chi of merit, the revered martial seal had endless magical uses. It could greatly improve Yi Shiwen's strength. If Yi Shiwen had originally relied on the golden hepta chi to temper his body and was able to fight evenly with the masters of the fifth realm, then after practicing the revered martial seal, his strength would take a huge leap, and even the masters of the peak of the fifth realm would not be his match. When he stepped into the fifth realm, his combat strength could even soar to the level of the sixth realm, leaping and soaring. And these were the benefits obtained from the destruction of the seventh gold era. He had only shared a part of the benefits. It was no wonder that the former heavenly masters could not forget the benefits of destroying the ancient era. The more long-term benefits were the emergence of masters in large numbers in the human clan. The geniuses were like carps crossing the river. All kinds of heavenly treasures grew in the human clan's territory. These would take a long time to see. After making the decision, Yi Shiwen immediately called Bian Xiaoya and the others. He announced that he would enter a closed-door training state for the next period of time. He would not come out until the middle heavenly master returned from the Fortune God dynasty with the Fortune universe map. He asked them to guard the station and not to go out. They should cultivate more to improve their strength or train the elites of the human clan in case they were needed in the future. After explaining everything, Yi Shiwen finally entered the closed-door training state and began to refine the revered martial seal. Chapter 3500. From the outside, Yi Shiwen's closed-door training place was only the size of a palm. It was located in the core of the human clan's encampment. In this palm-sized place, there were layers of space and layers of enchantments. In the deepest part, there was a world. With Yi Shiwen's current cultivation, it was as convenient as eating and drinking to open up a world. However, he was still very cautious. Although he was not in closed-door training for a breakthrough, he could not be disturbed to practice the martial honorable seal. In front of him, the martial honorable seal was floating up and down. The martial honorable seal was surrounded by thousands of auspicious lights. However, it did not form a storm. It was neutral and peaceful. Yi Shiwen spat out a breath of essence from time to time, which turned into infinite real fire. The real fire constantly calcined the martial honorable seal. The martial honorable seal had accompanied Yi Shiwen in the Emperor realm. It did not fall into a disadvantageous position against any Dao tool. However, it began to melt slowly under Yi Shiwen's real fire. This was something that Yi Shiwen could not do when he was in the Emperor realm. However, it was much simpler now that he had entered the Heavenly Master realm. Soon, the martial honorable seal had completely turned into a pool of molten iron. However, Yi Shiwen did not stop. He waved his hand again, and many Heavenly Master Dao tools appeared. These were the Heavenly Master Dao tools left by the Heavenly Masters of various eras that Yi Shiwen had killed. At this time, Yi Shiwen wanted to melt them together and refine them into the martial honorable seal. This was the most fundamental part of the martial honorable seal. However, there were still some remnant spirits in the Celestial Master Celestial Tool. After sensing that Yi Shiwen was going to refine them into raw materials, they suddenly began to struggle violently. However, how could their struggle have any effect? In just a moment, they were suppressed by Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen kept spitting out essence from his mouth, which turned into raging flames. These Heavenly Master Dao tools were calcined into a pool of molten iron. Even the original appearance of the raw materials could be seen. Even the Heavenly Master Dao tools could not resist for long in front of Yi Shiwen because they had lost their master. Without the protection of their master, they could only be refined. With the passage of time, these Dao artifacts were finally restored to their original form. However, of course, they could not be in their original form. All of them turned into liquid and merged with the original martial Emperor seal. Yuan was constantly exhaling essence energy, while his hands were constantly forming hand seals for refining tools. With his current strength, refining a Dao tool was very easy. He could complete it as long as he had the materials. However, refining a Celestial Master Dao tool wasn't so simple. It required a lot of materials and a lot of time. Yi Shiwen didn't know how much time had passed. Finally, the revered martial seal in his hand gradually took shape. It was about to take shape after all the impurities had been removed. However, this was only an embryo. It had roughly taken shape. The most important step was to add Yi Shiwen's Dao and his understanding of the Great Way. If this step was missing, then it would only be an ordinary divine tool comparable to a Heavenly Master's Dao tool. Yi Shiwen formed a hand seal. 3,000 martial Daos appeared around him. Each martial Dao was evolving into an extremely profound Great Way. Then, all of them poured into the revered martial seal that was about to take shape. In an instant, the revered martial seal blossomed with thousands of rays of light. It was as if this part of the world was illuminated like glass. This was the sign of the Heavenly Master Dao tool taking shape. However, this wasn't enough. Yi Shiwen was still refining unceasingly. He had integrated the 3,000 martial principles into the revered martial seal. That was the level and plan he had when he had refined the martial Emperor's seal. However, he had greater ambitions now. As he continued to urge his magic power, a miniature version of the Fortune Realm appeared around him. The terrain of the Fortune Realm was imprinted in it. Together with his 3,000 martial Dao epochs, a strong chemical reaction was immediately produced. It was about to form a miniature martial Dao epoch on the spot. Using the revered martial seal to refine a miniature martial Dao epoch. This was a shocking plan. Although it was only a preliminary refinement and had not been completed, it was already extremely shocking. This was because this was not tolerated by the world. This was equivalent to using the power of the martial Dao epoch to upgrade it bit by bit. It would become more and more powerful, far surpassing ordinary Heavenly Master Dao tools. Many people knew this principle, but no one could do it. The only successful example was the creation of the universe map. In fact, Yi Shiwen had such an idea because he knew about the creation of a universe map. The creation of a universe map projected the entire Fortune Divine Dynasty into this part of the world. Therefore, when the creation of the universe map rolled up, the power of heaven and earth would cover the sky and earth. Ordinary people could not resist it at all. Even a heavenly master would die if they were swept by the power of heaven and earth. Its power was no weaker than the heaven-splitting demonic axe. The brand new martial Dao mark that Yi Shiwen wanted to refine could not be compared to the creation of the universe map, even if it formed a rough epic. However, its power was already invincible among the heavenly master Tao tools. However, this kind of heaven-defying action would inevitably be punished by the heavens. It would not dissolve in the world. Almost immediately, Yi Shiwen felt that a crack had appeared on the martial Tao mark that was about to take shape. Moreover, this crack was getting bigger and bigger. Soon, it densely covered the entire martial supremacy seal. An ordinary heavenly venerate would have been flustered and could only watch helplessly as the martial supremacy seal completely cracked. However, Yi Shiwen was different. In fact, all of this was already within his expectations. He already had this idea and deduced it with a mysterious space in his body. Everything was within his expectations. At this moment, he opened his mouth again, and a cloud of qi of merit flew out and integrated into the martial Tao mark. The dense cracks that had originally appeared began to disappear little by little. Using the qi of merit to offset the heaven-defying power and counteract the heavenly punishment was the fundamental trump card that Yi Shiwen dared to refine the martial Tao mark to this extent. Using the qi of merit to resist this kind of heavenly punishment was equivalent to counteracting the merits and demerits. He would not be attacked by the heavenly way. Finally, when the last crack disappeared, the terrifying power of heavenly punishment emitted by the martial saint's seal also disappeared. Yi Shiwen could not help but heave a sigh of relief. This martial Tao mark had passed the last and most important hurdle and was finally taking shape. Once this martial Tao mark was formed, Yi Shiwen's combat power would soar to the peak of the fifth realm. He would even be more powerful than an ordinary peak of the fifth realm. However, Yi Shiwen still did not dare to take it lightly at the last moment. He constantly spat out qi of essence into real fire. It burned and calcined continuously as the martial Tao mark finally took shape bit by bit. During this process, Yi Shiwen's understanding of the path of tool refining had also improved tremendously. Refining a celestial master Tao tool wasn't something an ordinary person could do. During this process, Yi Shiwen's understanding of the path of tool refining wasn't limited to just a little bit. Moreover, it was refining such an obviously heaven-defying martial Tao mark. The martial Tao mark had attracted the interference of the heavenly way before it was formed. It wanted to completely shatter it. It was obvious how terrifying it was. Behind Yi Shiwen, there was an incomparably huge character for tool refining. At first, it was very blurry, but it became clearer and clearer. At first, it was very small, only the size of a finger, and finally, it became the size of a person, exuding the endless brilliance of the great Tao law. This was condensed in Yi Shiwen's body after his understanding of the way of tool refining reached a shocking level. This marked that Yi Shiwen's way of tool refining had truly reached a very high level and realm. Compared to when he had just started refining the martial Tao mark, his level had improved by several times. Although he had consumed many heavenly master Tao tools in order to refine the martial Tao mark, these were all good things that were hard to buy with money. If he sold any one of them, it would be priceless. Moreover, he had smelted so many of them in one go. Even someone like Yi Shiwen, who was used to being rich, couldn't help but feel distressed. Fortunately, the final harvest was also not small. The martial Tao mark was about to take shape. After integrating the qi of merit, the martial Tao mark would be earth-shattering as soon as it took shape. It would become a top heavenly master Tao tool, invincible, and greatly improve his strength. Moreover, his understanding of the way of tool refining had also reached an amazing level. As long as he had enough materials, he could easily refine ordinary heavenly master Tao tools. Every bit of this kind of understanding was integrated into his soul little by little. It had greatly benefited his 3,000 martial arts. Although the way of tool refining was not in the 3,000 martial arts, it was closely related to the 3,000 martial arts. Many martial arts were implemented with the help of tools, and the way of tool refining was indispensable. It could be said that they complemented each other and improved each other. Otherwise, Yi Shiwen's way of tool refining wouldn't be so big so quickly. It's done. After a long time, Yi Shiwen finally spoke. His eyes couldn't hide the joy. In front of him, the martial Tao mark had finally taken shape and bloomed with thousands of rays of light. The chi of merit flowed on the surface of the martial Tao mark, and the radiance it emitted turned this side of the world into a glass world. It was colorful and dazzling. At this moment, the space that was originally sealed by Yi Shiwen with countless barriers and arrays seemed to have been torn open. Countless rays of light and auspicious colors fell. It was auspicious to celebrate the birth of the martial Tao mark. For a time, the laws of heaven and earth manifested one after another. There was a cheerful mood. This was the joy of the heavens. Yi Shiwen smiled. He forced out a drop of his blood essence and sent it into the martial Tao mark together with the tool spirit formed by the martial Tao mark. Suddenly, there was a feeling of blood connection. The martial Tao mark was finally formed. Chapter 3501. Haha, it's finally done. Yi Shiwen laughed heartily. He had finally refined his celestial master Tao tool. He had already stepped into the peak of the fourth realm. Since ancient times, it had been extremely rare for someone to not have their own heavenly venerate Tao artifact. This was because most people who had just entered the heavenly venerate realm would work hard to find materials to refine their own heavenly venerate Tao artifact. Moreover, celestial masters would spend hundreds of thousands of years or even millions of years to advance one realm. At most, they would advance 2 realms. Therefore, even after refining their own celestial master Tao tool, they were still in the first realm. It was rare to see someone like Yi Shiwen. Too many things happened during this time. So, Yi Shiwen did not have much time to consider refining his own celestial master Tao tool. In addition, his cultivation growth was too fast compared to other celestial masters, so he had not refined his own celestial master Tao tool even when he had cultivated to the peak of the fourth realm. But now, he finally made up for his last shortcoming. His strength had also improved tremendously. Even if he faced a 6th realm master, it was impossible to kill him quickly. He could retreat unscathed. This was his biggest trump card. Perhaps no one was aware of this, because they all thought that Yi Shiwen's cultivation was at the 4th realm. So how powerful could he be? And just when Yi Shiwen was planning to continue to practice, to see if he could break through to the 5th realm, suddenly, he only heard a huge explosion sound. Even if he was in the layers of space, this huge explosion sound could not be blocked at all. In practically an instant, the many spirit formations and spirit formations that he had set up all began to issue frantic alarms. It was not because someone had broken in. Rather, it was because he had sensed a frightening energy and the fluctuations of natural laws that had alarmed him. Yi Shiwen immediately opened his heavenly eye and immediately saw the situation of the entire Sun City. At this time, the Sun City was in chaos. Explosions could be seen everywhere, shooting straight into the sky. Fierce battles were constantly breaking out. Is there an invasion from an ancient era? Yi Shiwen's first reaction was that an ancient era had invaded. The battle was so intense that it could even penetrate into the Sun City. It must be a major event. Otherwise, with Sun City's defenses, it was impossible for it to be silently sacrificed. Even if the heaven-splitting demon axe was used, it would still be the same. Moon City was only sacrificed because of the carelessness of Moon City's city lord. It was a complete accident. No matter what, it was extremely dangerous. Thinking of this, Yi Shiwen hurriedly went out of the world where he was doing closed-door training. He saw that Bian Xiaoye and the others had already gathered at the exit, waiting for him. There was an anxious look on their faces. It seemed that they wanted to ask Yi Shiwen what to do. Yi Shiwen immediately said, "You guard the station. Don't go out without my order. I'll go take a look." Here, Bian Xiaoye and the others couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when they saw Yi Shiwen coming out of closed-door training. At this time, Yi Shiwen was the stabilizing force in their hearts. They naturally felt relieved when they saw Yi Shiwen. After stabilizing the human race army, Yishuan immediately flew toward the void without hesitation. At this time, he looked around. The entire city was in chaos. Battles could be seen everywhere. However, the entire Sun City's defense showed no signs of being sacrificed. All the attacks came from inside the city. Someone is causing trouble? Yishuan immediately realized that someone must be causing trouble. But what does he want to do? There is no invasion from the ancient era outside. What's the use of stirring up chaos in the city at this time? It would not take long for the chaos to be suppressed. The number of troops stationed in the Sun City was huge. Yishuan saw that the barracks stationed in the Sun City had been opened. In a short time, hundreds of elite troops came out of the barracks and rushed towards the rebellious places in the city. It wouldn't take long for the rebellions to be suppressed. Yishuan didn't expect that Yishuan would be able to suppress the rebellions in the city. Just when Yishuan was thinking that this was just a farce, he only heard a loud roar coming from the city. Red Serpent Demon, do you really think that there is no one in the Sun City? How dare you come here? This is the Sun City Lord. Yishuan immediately recognized this voice. Who else could it be other than the Sun City Lord? He saw two figures coming out one after the other. One of them had a demonic aura soaring into the sky. It seemed like the entire world was dyed into a demonic world, making people unable to see the scene clearly. Behind him, there was a person with flames on his body. Countless fire laws formed a terrible storm around him. It almost instantly chased after the demonic aura. Red Serpent Demon. A ray of light flashed in Yishuan's eyes. Is the Sun City's defense so lax? Even a demon venerable of this level sneaked in without being detected? In that case, these riots were all caused by the Crimson Serpent Demon Venerable. He even snuck in personally and risked being suppressed by the various barriers and formations of Sun City. Why'd he do that? How could Xiao Chun not know of this Scarlet Serpent Demon Venerate? This Scarlet Serpent Demon Venerate was a famous existence in many epics. His position in the demonic epic was no less than that of the 10 divine city lords in the martial epic. He was extremely strong. He could be said to be the leader of the demon era. How could such a person put himself in danger? Unless there was something in the Sun City that attracted him, and he had to get it? If he was not careful, even the Red Serpent Demon might be suppressed. As expected, all kinds of barriers and formations in Sun City were activated almost instantaneously. Terrifying attacks were unleashed one after another. Some of the attacks could even heavily injure the Demon Reverend. As time passed, more and more formations and barriers were activated. The barrier enveloped the entire Sun City, and a terrifying power burst out from the formation. Huge war fortresses even appeared and aimed at the Red Serpent Demon. This was a method that could pose a great threat to the Red Serpent Demon. Sure enough, at the same time, the Red Serpent Demon felt that he was targeted by the war fortresses. He felt goosebumps all over his body. He was not afraid of ordinary attacks. Even if he was besieged by several celestial venerables, he would not be afraid. However, these war fortresses were different. They were refined by the fortune creation heavenly monarch. There were such war fortresses in every divine city. They could severely injure celestial venerables. They were a great threat to peak celestial venerables like him. The divine cities had not fallen for many years. Naturally, these war fortresses were one of their trump cards. Boom! With a deafening roar, one of the war fortresses burst out a terrifying attack. Countless nomological laws formed a storm of nomological laws. In an instant, it pierced through the space, pierced through the chaos, and blasted towards the Red Serpent Demon. The Red Serpent Demon turned around and punched out a sky full of demonic aura to resist the terrifying storm. Boom! Another terrifying storm formed from the collision spread out in all directions. Even someone as powerful as Scarlet Serpent Demon Sovereign was forced back by this storm. He was sent flying for over 100 kilometers before he was barely able to neutralize the terrifying impact of this attack. His arms were still trembling. After withstanding such a terrifying power, even his integrated demonic body could not withstand it. The threat of these fortresses was too great. At this moment, the Sun City Lord had already caught up. In just a moment, two suns appeared in his hands and blasted towards the red serpent demon. Seeing that he was caught and that it would be difficult for him to break free from Sun City Lord, the red serpent demon Venerable went crazy and charged forward to fight Sun City Lord to buy time. This way, the war fortresses did not dare to casually launch attacks to avoid injuring the Sun City Lord. It was a very smart move. Yishuin did not go to help. He just kept looking around, with the Sun City Lord tangling with him. The red serpent demon could not escape. Although he was the only peak heavenly venerate in the city right now, that was enough. The others had returned. Eastern Heavenly Master and the others had also returned to the Fortune God Dynasty to mobilize the Creation Universe map. Naturally, they were not here at this time. However, he still wanted to know what the Red Serpent Demon's purpose was. Soon, he noticed a figure appearing in the most central area of the city. If it was an ordinary person, then it would be fine. However, Yishuin could not help but notice that person. Tong Zun. It's him? What is he trying to do? Yishuin couldn't help but be puzzled. Then, in a split second, he suddenly remembered. Wasn't that the place where the Middle Heavenly Master had sealed the Moon City Lord? His purpose, no, it should be said that their purpose is the Moon City Lord. Yishuin suddenly connected all the things together and immediately understood what was going on. Tong Zun had colluded with the people of the Devil Era to rescue the Moon City Lord. This was the only possibility that could make Scarlet Lotus Demon Venerable, who was high up in the demonic epic, take the risk to come here and purposely make such a big commotion to attract the attention of Sun City Lord. In this way, Tong Zun and the others would have the opportunity to rescue the Moon City Lord. The City Lord of Crescent City held a high position in the Fortune God Dynasty. It was unknown how many secrets he knew about the Fortune God Dynasty. It was also unknown how many relatives and friends he had. These people had complicated relationships in the Fortune God Dynasty. He should have gotten rid of them as soon as possible. It was just that the matter of attacking the striking Moon City was so close at hand that it could not be delayed. Therefore, there was no time to get rid of them or control them. Now, it finally led to a bad result. But no matter what, they must not be allowed to succeed. Chapter 3502. Yishuin naturally knew how terrifying the consequences would be if the Moon City Lord was released. But this time, the Demon Era came prepared. At this time, there were still many people who noticed Copper Lord's actions. They were Sun City's native heavenly venerables. But when they tried to stop Copper Lord, Demon Era heavenly venerables appeared around them and stopped them. Although this Moon City was the territory of the martial epic, just the formations and barriers could suppress these demonic epic heavenly venerates, making it hard for them to breathe. They were no match for the native heavenly venerates. But if it was just a stall for time, it would be easy. Yishuin immediately flew out and chased after Copper Zun. Copper Lord, how dare you collude with the Demon Era and betray the Fortune God Dynasty? You're courting death. Just as Tong Zun arrived at the place where the Moon City Lord was sealed, he heard a loud shout behind him. It's you. Copper Lord immediately recognized who it was. He gritted his teeth in hatred. Who else could this person be but Yishuin? Previously, as a dignified master of the peak of the Fifth Realm, he was unexpectedly abused by Yishuin in front of a large number of people. At that meeting, even his benefactor, the City Lord of Moon City, was tricked by Yishuin and was eventually sealed. The hatred between the two was as deep as the sea. Now that they met again, it was really the case of enemies meeting again. I don't have time for you now. An axe had appeared in Tong Zun's hand out of nowhere, and he swung it at the seal viciously. Boom! With a loud bang, a huge crack appeared on the seal due to the axe. What is that axe? Yishuin saw this axe at a glance. One must know that Copper Lord's martial power was very strong, and he wasn't a weakling among the Heavenly Masters. However, he couldn't be compared with a Middle Heavenly Master whose martial power had obviously increased, given Copper Lord's strength, who knew how long it would take him to create a huge crack on the Middle Heavenly Venerable seal. It was impossible to do so in a short period of time. This was also why, even though this was the place where the city lord of Moon City was sealed, the security wasn't very tight. This was because the seal left behind by a middle heavenly venerate couldn't be broken in a short period of time. Even someone like the red serpent demon venerate wouldn't be able to break it in such a short period of time. Moreover, under normal circumstances, a demon lord like Qi Lian demon lord wouldn't be able to sneak into Sun City. However, this time, Copper Lord, who used to be the city lord of Moon City, acted as a guide, which was why everything went so smoothly. No, that's not a heavenly Lord Dao artifact. Yi Shiwen glanced at it and immediately discovered that it wasn't a Taoist tool. In fact, it didn't even have the characteristic radiance of a Taoist tool. That's right. The materialization of a wisp of divine sense. He took a closer look and immediately saw that it was formed from the will of a certain magic tool. However, what shocked him was that it was only formed from the will of a magic tool. Yet it had such amazing power. With one swing of the axe, it could create a huge crack in the seal left behind by a middle celestial master. Could it be the heaven-splitting devil axe? Yi Shiwen immediately thought of it. Yes, only the heaven-splitting devil axe could have such power. It was above the heavenly Lord Dao artifact, a Dominator Dao artifact. Only a Dominator Dao artifact, like the heaven-splitting devil axe, could erupt with such power with just a wisp of divine sense. Of course, this wisp of divine sense couldn't be retained for a long time, and it couldn't be used many times. However, it was enough to split the seal. After this crack appeared, a terrifying aura erupted from it. It was the city lord of Moon City struggling inside, madly resisting the seal. Unlike Copper Lord, the strength of the city lord of Moon City was obviously much more terrifying. As he resisted, even the entire seal began to shake violently. Countless streams of light began to flow, and countless law lines appeared above the seal. This was the seal's automatic counterattack. Swoosh! With a swoosh, countless spiritual energy gathered towards the seal, and then formed a figure above the seal. It was the middle celestial master. It was a wisp of divine sense left behind by the middle celestial master. Copper Lord, how dare you betray the fortune god dynasty? Aren't you afraid of being hunted down to the ends of the earth? The middle celestial master opened his eyes and shouted, "Ha ha ha, betraying the fortune god dynasty? What's there to be afraid of? When I was being hunted down, the fortune god dynasty didn't come to my rescue. If your true self were here today, I wouldn't say a word and would leave on the spot. But now you want to stop me? Impossible." Copper Lord laughed heartily. His expression was slightly crazed and ferocious. He had probably never imagined that he would betray the fortune god dynasty for his benefactor. However, at this point, there was no way out for him. If he didn't fight, only death would await him. The heaven-splitting devil axe in his hand, which was formed by the will of the heaven-splitting devil axe, slashed down at the middle celestial master's divine sense. In that instant, countless demonic Dao laws appeared, forming countless demonic figures that possessed the might to split the heavens and earth apart. It was as if an unparalleled demonic sovereign was splitting the heavens and earth apart, fiercely hacking down, splitting apart the world. The middle celestial masters will erupted with extreme speed. The speed laws emerged one after another, protecting him. This was a collision of laws. However, the moment the devil axe slashed down and touched the speed laws collapsed one after another. There was no way for him to resist. If the middle celestial master's true self was here, he could easily break this devil axe. After all, it was only a wisp of the heaven-splitting devil axe's will, not the real heaven-splitting devil axe. However, the middle celestial master was only a wisp of will. How could he resist? In an instant, the protective laws collapsed one after another. Then, the devil axe slashed down on the middle celestial master's body. The devil axe itself had dimmed a lot because of this attack. It was only formed by a wisp of will. Every attack consumed the little will and energy left in its body. This was especially true for this attack. However, the middle celestial masters will collapse on the spot when it was cut down. It turned into energy that scattered in all directions. Boom! There was a huge rumble, and the entire seal shook violently. Another crack appeared on the seal. The two cracks seemed to be carved into it, causing the light of the entire seal to dim. More and more of the terrifying aura of the city, Lord of Moon City, seeped out from the cracks. If I let him continue like this, I'm afraid he will really split it open. Yishuan thought to himself, this is bad. Although this devil axe only has a portion of the heaven-splitting devil axe's power, and it can't be used continuously, it is enough to split open the seal. If the Moon City Lord escaped, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, he had already reached the edge of the seal. The speed of a celestial master was extremely fast. Although all this took a long time to describe, it only took a moment. The entire seal trembled violently. Its light dimmed, and the laws scattered. If this continued, it would not be able to withstand the next few axe strikes. Copper Supremacy only took a deep breath and swung the axe, ignoring Yishuan. At this moment, a demonic figure appeared in front of Yishuan, blocking his path. The celestial master of the martial epic ends here. If you want to pass, you must pass through me first. This demonic figure let out a dry voice. It was extremely unpleasant to the ears, like a sonic boom. This was a demon monarch of the demon epic. He had been lying in ambush for a long time, obviously to protect Copper Supremacy, to avoid being disturbed. This was very crucial. If the Moon City Lord could not be rescued, then all their previous efforts would be in vain. Those who block me shall die. Boundless golden light erupted from Yishuan's body. His aura was like a mountain rushing straight into the sky. At this moment, how could he be gentle? Only those who block him would die. This was the only path. When the demon monarch saw Yishuan's surging magic power and soaring aura, he immediately understood that he could not delay things with words. This demon monarch also let out a long roar. Demonic aura rushed into the sky. He was also a demon monarch of the fifth realm. His strength was extremely rare. It was unknown when a long whip appeared in his hand. The long whip danced, and the sound of it tearing through the sky formed a terrifying sonic boom. It was like a long dragon, bringing with it endless demonic laws as it ruthlessly struck towards Yishuan. Yishuan snorted coldly. His expression didn't change in the slightest in the face of this attack. He spread out his big hand, and it seemed as if he wanted to grab the whole world into his hand. He casually grabbed this devil whip, and it immediately fell into his hand. This devil whip seemed as if it was alive. It had a spiritual nature, and it turned into a devil dragon. It was constantly struggling and was about to fly up. This was also a celestial master Tao artifact. Naturally, it had its own spirituality and was very difficult to deal with. However, in front of Yishuan, there was no room for it to struggle at all. What? This demon monarch did not expect that this demonic whip that he had thrown out would not even have the strength to fight back against Yishuan. It was so easily caught by Yishuan. At this moment, in Yishuan's hand, the gung metal ancestral chi had already appeared. It instantly formed a sword. Countless sword Tao laws attached to it, forming a terrifying storm. Whoosh! The sword light flashed, and Yishuan made his move. Fast! 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 Fast to the limit. Yishuan's sword brought with it a terrifying beam of light. In an instant, it directly stabbed in front of the demon monarch. Puffed! This demon monarch could not react at all. He was pierced by Yishuan's sword. The gung metal ancestral chi was extremely ferocious, and it was about to blow up his entire body. Immediately after, two large hands reached out. This demon monarch did not even have time to react before he was torn in half. Chapter 35:03. A violent tearing sound was heard. A demon lord of the fifth realm was torn in half by Yishuan on the spot. He couldn't fight back at all. The eyes on the head of the demon lord that was torn in half were wide open. He was extremely shocked and couldn't believe it at all. They had done their best to sneak in at this time. They also had some understanding of the celestial masters who were still staying in Sun City. Of course, this was all information obtained through the Copper Lord. He also recognized the person in front of him. Although he had never fought with him, he was considered to be famous in the demon era for a long time. The news of Yi Shiwen killing several demon lords in a row had finally spread out. He caused the demon era to lose several demon lords in one go. Such a huge loss was enough for the demon lords to remember him. However, according to the information he received, Yi Shiwen's cultivation was only in the 4th realm. He was already in the 5th realm. He would be suppressed in this city, and it was difficult for him to use his full strength. Otherwise, he would be targeted and attacked by the array in Sun City. However, with his higher cultivation, it shouldn't be difficult to suppress Yi Shiwen. Even if he couldn't suppress Yi Shiwen, it shouldn't be difficult to buy time. However, the facts proved that he was too naive. The person who provided him the information should die. The information provided was fundamentally wrong. Yi Shiwen was just an ordinary 4th realm celestial master who had achieved Dao less than 10,000 years ago. Now, he even had the intention to kill Tong Zun because this information was provided by Tong Zun. Tong Zun consciously concealed the fact that he was beaten up by Yi Shiwen previously. In fact, in his opinion, the reason why he was beaten up previously was also an accident. If he wasn't careless, he wouldn't have been beaten up by Yi Shiwen at that time. What the Copper Lord had thought at that time wasn't wrong. However, he didn't know that Yi Shiwen had successfully cultivated the Martial Lord seal in just a few years. His strength had leaped from the 5th realm to the peak of the 5th realm. His improvement wasn't just a little bit. It was because of this misjudgment that caused such a serious consequence. He still wanted to struggle and break free from Yi Shiwen's grasp. However, how could Yi Shiwen let him escape? Yi Shiwen waved his big hand, and a seal character directly slapped down. It faintly resembled the spirit of the heaven sealing talisman. This was also what Yi Shiwen had comprehended after seeing the heaven sealing talisman. His understanding of the principles of sealing had also greatly improved. In terms of the way of sealing, his speed had become even faster. Almost in an instant, he had sealed the demon lord, who was a level higher than his actual cultivation. Then, he threw it into his inner world. When he had the time, he would refine it and water it on the world tree to produce the world fruit. In order for the world tree fruit to ripen, apart from time, there was a huge requirement for the amount of blood essence watered. The more blood essence watered, the faster the world tree fruit would ripen. Although all of this took a long time to describe, it actually happened in just a few moments. In fact, the demon lord couldn't even stall for time. Boom! An incomparably loud roar was heard. The Copper Lord held the demonic axe and chopped the seal again. The seal, and even the entire Sun City within the scope of the seal, trembled. For many of the Aborigines living in Sun City, it felt as if the entire world was collapsing. There were already several more cracks on the seal. Just when Yi Shiwen was dealing with the demon lord who blocked his way, he chopped a few more cracks on the seal. At this time, the cracks were densely intertwined, forming a hole in the center. Countless auspicious lights erupted from the hole, and a terrifying momentum swept out. The entire seal was already very dim. The Moon City Lord could break out at any time. Even without the Copper Lord's demonic axe chopping, it was only a matter of time. "You're courting death." Yi Shiwen roared and slapped the demonic whip in his hand. He hadn't subdued this demonic whip yet, so he couldn't unleash the true power of this demonic whip. But even so, the material of this demonic whip alone could unleash a terrifying power. Yi Shiwen's power was so great that even if he just casually swung it, the power was enough to split the sky into two halves. It was like a poisonous dragon that was about to devour the Copper Lord. At this moment, there was no one who could help him anymore. Even Bronze Lord couldn't ignore the attack that came from behind. He immediately turned around and chopped at Yi Shiwen's demonic whip with the demonic axe in his hand. Bang! A huge buzzing sound swept out a terrifying energy tide. The demonic whip was blown back by the powerful energy tide and returned to Yi Shiwen's hand. On the other hand, Tongzun's demonic axe was completely shattered by the collision. Originally, it had already consumed most of its energy in the previous attacks. At this time, it could only block one attack from this demonic whip before it was completely shattered. How is this possible? The Copper Lord felt a terrifying vibration coming from his hands. It was the rebound force from Yi Shiwen's demonic whip. He had always been known for his fleshly body, but now he wasn't even facing his Empyrean Tao artifact head-on. Instead, he was just using the will of the heaven-splitting demonic axe to collide with the supreme Tao artifact that he had temporarily seized. Such a collision actually made his hands tremble. How is this possible? He still couldn't believe it. He felt that Yi Shiwen seemed to be even more terrifying and powerful than when he first met him a few years ago. How can he improve so quickly? How can he be so powerful? The Copper Lord still had a lot of doubts in his heart. But at this time, he didn't have the time to care about it, because Yi Shiwen had already pounced on him. Should he continue to wait here for the Moon City Lord to come out, or should he escape first? This question suddenly popped up. He originally thought that his arrangements were flawless, and that it would be easy for a Fifth Realm Devil Lord to stop Yi Shiwen. Moreover, he himself was at the peak of the Fifth Realm and was only a step away from stepping into the Sixth Realm. A mere Yi Shiwen was nothing to him. But now, he realized that he was ridiculously wrong. Go! Almost instantly, he made a decision because he knew very well that in this city, he wouldn't be able to exert his strength at all if he was suppressed by the boundaries and formations of the city. Wasn't that the demon lord from before killed by Yi Shiwen in a short while because of this? At this time, he had already defected. The formations and boundaries of the city would also deal with him. This was the most disadvantageous place for him. At this time, he could only retreat first. He glanced at the seal. At this time, the seal was getting dimmer and dimmer. Even the cracks on the seal were increasing. It couldn't even stop Yi Shiwen. The Moon City Lord was unleashing his full strength inside. This half-destroyed boundary couldn't stop him at all. Unless a middle heavenly master level figure rushed over to seal it, there was no way to stop him. Wu Zun, so what if you rush over now? You can't stop the seal from being broken. Ha ha ha. The Copper Lord laughed heartily. His expression was incomparably carefree. Yi Shiwen glanced at the seal and immediately understood that it was inevitable that the seal would be broken. With his martial power, he wouldn't be able to suppress the Moon City Lord who was about to come out. As soon as the Copper Lord finished speaking, he directly flew out of the city. At this time, his mission was almost completed. Under normal circumstances, he would naturally stay and wait for the Moon City Lord to come out. But now, with Yi Shiwen eyeing him covetously, things wouldn't be so simple. He had already seen Yi Shiwen's amazing strength. If he was entangled at this time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Moreover, although Yi Shiwen couldn't suppress the Moon City Lord who was about to come out, it wouldn't be a problem for him to buy time. Now, what they lacked the most was time. Why did the Red Serpent Demon Lord take the risk to travel around the Sun City? Wasn't it to buy time to delay the Sun City Lord? Yi Shiwen immediately understood that the Copper Lord wanted to lure him away. However, at this time, he also calculated a lot of things. Even if he stayed, he wouldn't be able to stop the Moon City Lord from escaping. Because the Sun City Lord was blocked by the Red Serpent Demon Lord, he wouldn't be able to rush over in a short time. Even if he delayed time, it wouldn't be of much use. In that case, I'll cut off one of your arms. A ruthless look flashed in Yi Shiwen's eyes. He looked directly at the Copper Lord and said, "If he wants to leave, I can't stop him. But Copper Lord, don't even think about leaving. These people are attracted by you. If you don't die today, how can you face the dead creatures in the city? Want to kill me? Let's see if you have the ability to do so." The Copper Lord didn't care about Yi Shiwen at all. He would be suppressed in the city, but the situation was completely different once he left the city. The Copper Lord directly stepped on a bronze aura and flew out of the city. But before he left, he sent a message to the Sun City Lord, who was in a fierce battle, explaining the situation here, especially the situation where the Moon City Lord was about to come out. Yi Shiwen immediately chased after him. But before he left, he sent a message to the Sun City Lord who was in the midst of a fierce battle. The Sun City Lord who was in a fierce battle received the message from Yi Shiwen and finally realized that he had been tricked. "Oh no, I've been tricked. Damn it," luring the tiger away from the mountain. The Sun City Lord was furious. He actually fell into the trap of the Devil era. He had fallen into the trap of luring the tiger away from the mountain and could only watch helplessly as the seal of the city, Lord of Crescent City, was broken. If he was still around, how could Bronze Lord have succeeded under his watch? Damn traitor. The Sun City Lord wanted to leave, but he was stopped by the Red Serpent Demon Lord. "Want to leave? Have you asked for my permission?" Chapter 3504. Sun City City Lord wanted to rush back to seal Moon City City Lord. However, the Scarlet Serpent Demon Venerate saw through his plan. The Scarlet Serpent Demon Venerate appeared here to delay Sun City City Lord. If Sun City's City Lord returned, all his efforts would have been for nothing. In order to rescue Moon City City Lord, not only did he have to prepare everything, but he also had to spend a lot of resources and connections. He even had to expose some of the spies he had planted in Sun City over the years. Otherwise, he would not be able to cause chaos in the city so easily. One should know that Sun City was very, very big, much bigger than an ordinary world. How could it be that easy to cause chaos at the same time? Who knew how many spies had been involved in this matter? After this was over, Sun City would definitely be cleansed from top to bottom. Those who gave themselves away would not be able to escape death. There were even Imperial Lords who had fought their way in countless years ago. Now, in order to save Moon City City Lord, they had all been exposed. Given Sun City's City Lord's cultivation, it would have been fine if he had not shown any signs before. Now that he had, it would only take a moment to figure it out. After paying such a huge price, if they still couldn't successfully help the Moon City City Lord escape, they would really suffer a double loss. Hence, even if he was targeted by the various war fortresses and barriers, he could only hold on. He could not cower at this moment. Once Xiao Chun successfully released Moon City City Lord, the demonic epic would gain an incredibly strong helper. Even in the martial epic, which was in its prime, experts of such level would be extremely rare, pitifully few. Naturally, this was the best situation for the demonic epic. At this moment, Sun City's City Lord used Sun City's barrier to gain the upper hand. However, his cultivation was not that different from the Scarlet Serpent Demon Venerate, so he could not break free and return. Sun City's City Lord could only watch as more cracks appeared in the seal. It was only a matter of time before Moon City's City Lord escaped. Sun City's City Lord felt very anxious. However, at this point, being anxious was useless. Aside from him, no one in the city could suppress Moon City's City Lord. This was because the City Lord of Heaven City had already returned to Heaven City. Heaven City's defenses were also of the utmost importance. Moon City had already been lost, so Heaven City could not be lost. The Middle Heavenly Venerables, Southern Heavenly Venerables, Northern Heavenly Venerables, Western Heavenly Venerables, and Spacetime Heavenly Venerables also returned to the Fortune God Dynasty to activate the Fortune Universe Scroll. No one could help at all. Most importantly, the defense system was leaked by Copper Lord, allowing Crimson, Serpent Demon Lord, and the others to sneak in. Otherwise, if Crimson, Serpent Demon Lord attacked from the outside, he wouldn't be able to break in alone even if he was given 10 years. Yishuan's decision to give up on defending the seal and chase after Copper Supremacy was the right choice. Yishuan's all-out attack could indeed prolong the time for the Moon City Lord to break the seal. However, the time was too short. It wasn't enough for him to suppress Red Serpent Demon Lord. In this round, he had been at a complete disadvantage from the very beginning. He had been schemed against and had been passive in every aspect, which ultimately led to this outcome. He was the dignified Sun City's City Lord, one of the top figures in the entire Fortune God Dynasty. How could he not be angry when someone schemed against him? Good. Crimson Serpent Demon Lord. Since you want to stop me, then I won't stop Moon City City Lord. However, you must pay the price. Today, you must leave an arm behind. Otherwise, don't even think of escaping. Sun City's City Lord immediately made a decision. Since he couldn't keep Moon City's City Lord here, he could only injure Crimson Serpent Demon Lord. Apart from venting his anger, the most important thing was to prevent the two from joining forces. If two experts joined forces and wreaked havoc in Sun City, they could still cause serious damage to Sun City. However, with Sun City's resources, it wouldn't be easy to deal with the two of them. He was only one person. It was too strenuous for him to deal with the two of them alone. The only way was to injure Crimson Serpent Demon Lord before the Moon City Lord came out. This way, this trouble wouldn't turn into a real turmoil in Sun City. As Sun City's City Lord, he must strangle this threat while it was still a seedling. Crimson Serpent Demon Lord suddenly felt a chill. He immediately understood that Moon City's City Lord was going to risk his life. He immediately knew that this operation had reached its final moment. If he persevered, then he would succeed. If he failed, then the consequences would be unimaginable. At this time, Yishuan had already chased Bronze Lord out of Sun City. Now, he couldn't care about the turmoil in Sun City. Naturally, the heavenly masters in Sun City would handle it. With Sun City's strength, it was not a problem to deal with this kind of turmoil. The only problem was that after the Moon City Lord came out, it might lead to a disaster. So, I must get rid of Bronze Lord before the Moon City Lord comes out. Yishuan's eyes flickered. He stepped on a ray of light and finally intercepted Bronze Lord outside the city. In other words, Bronze Lord didn't want to run anymore. He turned around and stared coldly at Yishuan. A terrifying light burst out his eyes. Wu Zun, I think we can settle our previous scores. Previously, you only caught me off guard. Today, I won't give you such a chance. Bronze Chi burst out from Bronze Lord's body. The primordial chaos seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. It wasn't a cosmos, it wasn't a universe, it was nothing. It was purely collapsing. Even the origin of the primordial chaos was collapsing. After this origin collapsed, it turned into a bronze world. The terrifying aura of the law leaked out and destroyed the world. This was Bronze Lord's true strength. When he fought with Yishuan previously, Yishuan seized the opportunity to beat him up with the universe creation palm. This matter was taboo in his heart. It was also the greatest shame in his heart. Now, it was finally time for revenge. In his opinion, without the suppression of the city, Yishuan could only be beaten up by him in a situation where he had erupted with his full strength. Bronze Lord, are you still deceiving yourself? Do you think you're my opponent? If you were my opponent, you wouldn't have had to escape just now, right? Yishuan sneered and said, "Shut up." Bronze Lord's expression was indifferent, as if his thoughts were exposed. He directly attacked Yishuan mercilessly. The aura of his body and the bronze energy burst out all of a sudden. It was 10 times more terrifying. Roar! He let out a long roar and rushed towards Yishuan. In his bronze kingdom, a huge dragon flew out. It was huge and mighty. Its huge body coiled in the chaos and rushed towards Yishuan. However, this was only the beginning. There weren't only bronze true dragons in the Bronze Kingdom. There were also all kinds of ominous beasts and mythological beasts. Moreover, there were also many swords, spears, swords, and halberds that had evolved from martial arts. Tens of thousands of different kinds of weapons had manifested and were rushing towards Yishuan. In the face of such an attack, Yishuan did not retreat at all. He also rushed forward. The 7th metal ancestral chi in his hand suddenly manifested and turned into a long saber. The saber light flickered, and there was a kind of cold light on the surface of the saber. It was swallowing the chaos energy. Bang! Yishuan held the long saber in his hand and slashed the bronze dragon in half. The blood essence and copper fragments scattered all over the sky exploded. In an instant, they turned into essence energy all over the sky. However, it could not stop Yishuan's path at all. He himself seemed to have transformed into such a treasured saber. Every time he slashed, he could slash a huge crack in the Bronze Kingdom and destroy everything that he could come into contact with. The so-called bronze ferocious beasts, divine beasts, and bronze weapons were nothing in front of Yi Shiwen's long saber. They rampaged all the way and caused the entire bronze nation to explode. It was as if someone had slashed the entire bronze kingdom in half with a saber from afar. The whole scene was incomparably shocking. What a fierce person! What a fast saber! Tong Zun did not expect Yi Shiwen to be able to burst out such combat power in his own domain. Those bronze divine beasts, ferocious beasts, and bronze weapons were formed by his understanding of the laws. They were the supreme laws that guarded his inner world. Even if it was an expert of the same realm, it would be difficult to break through if they fell into it unless they also opened their own inner world to fight against it. Because in the inner world, all the laws of heaven were written by him. All other laws would be rejected, and only the bronze laws would be effective. Whether it was the celestial master or the emperor, they all fought with the laws. In this case, the laws were restricted. No matter how great their power was, they could not burst out. It was not magical to rely on their own power. However, Yi Shiwen was different. He was only relying on his own strength. He was courageous and diligent. He was able to inflict serious damage to his inner world with one blade strike. And he could split it open with 3 blade strikes. Perhaps his inner world would have collapsed if he hadn't exerted so much effort to maintain it. Is he really a physique cultivator? As far as he knew, only the physique cultivator was so terrifying. He could only rely on his physical body to have a terrifying power that was hard to find in the world. However, the current situation didn't allow him to think too much. Yi Shiwen had already broken through his layers of encirclement in just a short span of a breath. His bronze ominous beasts, mythological beasts, and bronze divine soldiers had all been cut down. Yi Shiwen cut through all the thistles and thorns all the way until he arrived in front of him. Yi Shiwen seemed to be accumulating power. Every step he took would accumulate more power. His imposing aura had already reached a terrifying level. Just by relying on this kind of imposing aura, he could scare people to death. He had reached the most dangerous time. Chapter 35:05. Yi Shiwen accumulated an imposing aura with every step he took. He didn't know how many steps he had taken along the way, but his imposing aura had already erupted to the extreme. At this moment, he had already turned into a saber master, a true saber master. For someone like him who had mastered 3,000 martial arts laws, any kind of weapon could be turned into the most terrifying attack. Moreover, the long saber, transformed from the gung metal ancestral chi, was almost invincible. One saber could destroy a large number of bronze beasts and mythological beasts. No one could resist it. The Copper Lord, who was in front of Yi Shiwen, finally realized that something was wrong. He shook his hands, and a bronze halberd appeared directly. It carried the characteristics of the Bronze Age. It was refined by using all the copper essence in the world. When it was 10% complete, it was already earth-shattering and earth-shattering. He didn't have the opportunity to use it before. Yi Shiwen seized the opportunity and beat him up, and now he finally used it. The long halberd directly met the saber, and only a loud roar was heard. A peerless collision broke out between the bronze halberd and the gung metal long saber held by Yi Shiwen. The terrifying wind directly spread in all directions, annihilating the chaos, and directly impacted the origin of the Great Way. The battle between the two was simply fatal. For those below the heavenly master level, they could be annihilated in an instant. At this moment, in the city, many emperor lords raised their heads and saw this scene. They only felt incomparable shock in their eyes, as if they still couldn't believe that a battle between heavenly masters could be so terrifying. In the distant chaos, the battle between the two was beyond everyone's imagination. Fortunately, they had the protection of the boundary, so they didn't have to worry about being swept by the aftermath and directly turning into ashes. At this moment, they finally understood that the gap between them and heavenly masters was too big. Dang buzz! The Copper Lord felt his hands trembling all of a sudden. A terrifying counterforce raged on his hands. It made him feel as if the web between his thumb and forefinger was about to explode. This feeling was even more terrifying than when he used the willpower of the heaven-splitting demonic axe to resist Yi Shiwen's demonic whip. Most of the power of the previous attack had been absorbed by the will of the heaven-splitting demonic axe. The will of the heaven-splitting demonic axe could not hold on any longer and collapsed on the spot. Moreover, Yi Shiwen had used a magic whip that he had just obtained at that time. But now he had used the 7th metal ancestral chi to launch an attack with the 7th metal long blade. So, the might of this attack couldn't be mentioned in the same breath as before. This made him feel an even more terrifying pressure than before. Such great strength. Only then did Bronze Lord truly understand that if a person's strength reached a certain level, they could actually create such a terrifying deterrent force. It was just the law of power, but it had been comprehended to this extent. The power that could be unleashed in an instant could directly shatter all other laws. Time laws, space laws, and even his bronze laws were nothing in the face of this simple strike. This was the sight of someone who had cultivated a single law to the peak. Originally, because he had cultivated the bronze laws, he had also tempered his physical body to a very profound realm. It could be said that it was difficult to meet an opponent in the same realm. Even if he encountered a physique cultivator, he would not be afraid. But he was at a disadvantage in the fight with Yi Shiwen, and it wasn't just once or twice. It was indeed not the first time that he had experienced Yi Shiwen's astonishing strength. Especially after the Gung metal ancestral chi had fused into his body, Yi Shiwen's physical cultivation had far surpassed the so-called physical cultivators. Unless his opponent possessed an extremely rare physical body like the meritorious body, it would be impossible for him to compete with him. But Yi Shiwen didn't rely on his physical cultivation to make a living. So, even if it was a physique cultivator in the same realm, they would be suppressed in front of Yi Shiwen, because they had never been as comprehensive as Yi Shiwen. He had no weaknesses at all. Every aspect of him was the strongest, stronger than the strongest point of others. This was the advantage of the 3,000 martial arts that he had cultivated. Although it was much more difficult to cultivate compared to ordinary people, once the cultivation was successful, the effect would be first class. Then, Tong Zun realized that there were cracks on his bronze halberd. He was on the verge of vomiting blood. What is that long saber made of? How can it be so terrifying? My halberd is a heavenly master Taoist tool, but cracks have appeared on it after one slash. How is this possible? The Bronze Lord almost vomited blood. His halberd was his treasure. It was also the real trump card that he had relied on for many years. He didn't even use it when he was beaten by Yi Shiwen last time. Now, cracks had appeared on it after just one collision. He looked at the long saber in Yi Shiwen's hand, and a look of jealousy flashed in his eyes. Although there are cracks, your momentum has also been interrupted. Do you still want to use that slash just now? The Bronze Lord roared. At the cost of the cracks on his bronze halberd, Yi Shiwen's indomitable momentum had finally been restrained. He couldn't escape from that attack just now. If he didn't face it head-on, then Yi Shiwen's momentum would continue to grow. Eventually, it would reach a situation where he could be killed with one slash. Even if there wasn't much difference in strength between two people, once one of them had accumulated enough momentum, then the consequences would be completely unimaginable. However, something that almost scared him to death happened. Yi Shiwen raised his saber again, but his momentum that should have been eliminated didn't weaken in the slightest. Instead, it became even stronger. What's going on? It's not like he didn't accumulate momentum. How can this momentum be so terrifying? The Bronze Lord couldn't imagine how Yi Shiwen did it. Yi Shiwen's momentum should have been eliminated in that attack just now, but when they really fought, he realized that it wasn't the case at all. Yi Shiwen sneered. He didn't intend to explain at all. The long saber fell as usual. This saber exploded in the chaos. Even the most imaginative person couldn't imagine how terrifying and amazing this saber was. This was an extreme attack. For Yi Shiwen, this was just a casual attack. This was his strength after a comprehensive closed-door training. When he was practicing the martial lord seal, it didn't just increase his refining skills. His understanding of the Great Way had also improved tremendously. Boom! This saber was also blocked by the Bronze Lord's long halberd. Buzz! An incomparably loud sound was heard. The Bronze Lord's hands suddenly exploded. His originally bloody Perlicue finally couldn't hold on any longer and exploded. The long halberd was directly blown away. It couldn't withstand this terrifying force and instantly flew out. There was another obvious crack on the long halberd. Two sabers left 2 cracks on the long halberd. Yi Shiwen's strength had erupted to a terrifying level. His momentum didn't decrease at all. Instead, it became more and more powerful. That was the qi in his heart. After the baptism of the sacrificial era, it had reached an unimaginable level. As long as he still had the heart to pursue the Great Way, this qi couldn't be eliminated. How was this possible? Tong Zun let out a blood-curdling scream. Both of his hands were blown up, and golden blood sprayed everywhere into the primal chaos. It was actually able to create a huge hole in the primal chaos. It was a black hole that devoured everything. I don't believe it. How can your saber be so powerful? The Bronze Lord couldn't believe that the Gung-Jin long saber in Yi Shiwen's hands was so terrifying. Most importantly, he had never heard that Yi Shiwen used a saber. This was different from any information he knew. According to the information he had investigated, Yi Shiwen was good at using a sword. His martial arts had reached the peak. However, he didn't expect that Yi Shiwen's saber had reached the stage of entering the Great Way. It was so terrifying. There weren't any fancy saber techniques, nor were there any powerful magic skills. He merely relied on the terrifying power flowing in his body to push the saber's power to the limit. The most terrifying aspect of the Gung-Jin ancestral energy, that unstoppable offensive power, had completely erupted in Yi Shiwen's hands. It's useless even if you don't believe me. Yi Shiwen flew directly above the Bronze Lord like a dazzling sun. His figure rapidly changed its position, as if he had integrated an extremely profound agility technique into it. I'll kill you in 3 moves. This is the 3rd move. As soon as Yi Shiwen's voice fell, the martial lord's seal suddenly flew out of his body. This was the first time he used the martial lord's seal after he had mastered it. The Bronze Lord didn't know that Yi Shiwen still had such a trump card. However, he felt a great danger and retreated again and again. However, it was too late. The martial lord's seal projected endless mountains, rivers, and heaven and earth. It seemed as if it wanted to recreate a new world in this chaos. Then, the Bronze Lord was shocked to find that he was frozen. It should be said that he was completely suppressed by the fortune realm projected by the martial lord's seal. It was the will of the world suppressing him. Even if he wanted to struggle, it was not enough in the face of this power. Then, he could only horror to find that Yi Shiwen had appeared in front of him with a long saber. He didn't know when Yi Shiwen had appeared. Stop! An extremely angry roar came from the direction of the Sun City. However, it was useless. No power could stop this saber. In that instant, the saber radiance shone brightly. The Bronze Lord was slashed into 2 halves. Even his body and spirit were slashed into 2 halves. His spirit struggled under the saber aura and screamed as it turned into nothingness. 3 sabers to kill the Bronze Lord. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.